Transition, the process of change from one condition to another.
We are now at a new crossroad where change is evident once again.
What does not serve us must transform us anew.
Returning to our original state of oneness and true nature of that which created who we truly are.
Confusion was the way of the past. Enlightenment is the way of the now and future, shedding away the layers of deceit.
We now bring you the transformation of the two who started as one. Our fearless planet never stands still.
Earth has been in a process of transition, and we are not exempt from this remarkable ongoing reality.
Welcome to Transition Radio.
Hello, and welcome. And I'm trying to get our guest back on. She was on there, and I don't know what happened. But hey, guys,
he's Mark. I'm Lena.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to see what happened to
we're
her
in scramble
mode right now. So, it's like, where did she go? She was there. I just told her to mute her.
Yeah, we were just talking to her like for the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, and all of a sudden,
and then
she's poofed on.
A bird got in the wire.
Yeah. But anyway, welcome everyone. Yeah, she is in Australia, but that doesn't matter. We had her there, and we did a check yesterday.
Yeah, her video looked great.
Yeah, everything was
looked really
awesome.
Good.
And then all of a sudden, poof, and she's not replying to her email on Facebook. No. But anyway, guys, how you guys doing? I hope you enjoyed yesterday's show. We had an amazing guest. And it was a really great conversation. You dropped out. Okay. Come back in.
Does she have a link?
Yeah, she does. Come back in.
How are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Hey, girl with no name Spooner. And April Friedrichs joins us. She had a message to say to She Said at Home.
Yes.
But, I guess you'll be able to tell her
what
that
she
later.
said. You dropped out, but she
Tracy's here, and Damo. Hey, Damo. So cool to see you guys.
Recenter the
live TV.
I know you gotta love it, right?
Really do. It's always a journey in live TV. I used to do live TV, but it was on the other side of the camera.
Yeah, well, that's very different from this. So
not too far different.
No, not too far different. But let's see here. Oh, there you're okay. We're good. We're back. Okay, she's right there. Anyway, they're right there. Don't move. We still have to
there she is. See,
introduce you. Okay, but we still have to introduce you. Let's forget you guys saw any of this. Now we're just going to do this from scratch. So anyway, tonight we have a very special guest, and we're very honored to have her. She's coming all the way from Australia. And, well, here we go. We're going to read a little bio. Tonight we have Suzan Mckie, right? I said that right. I called her Mckie earlier, who comes to us all the way from Australia. And Suzan has delved into the mysteries, trotted down numerous rabbit holes, and has sunk into the abyss, having a near-death experience, but came out on the other side more than once.
What she discovered was that the more layers she peeled, the more she needed to peel. Sharing her life's journey, Suzan will tell us where she is now and where she has been. We hope you're ready to experience this wonderful journey from a wise woman, a crone with lots to share.
And now welcome to the show, Suzan.
Hi, how are you?
Hold on.
Oh, wait.
There you go. Now say hi.
She is.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be here, everybody.
It's nice to meet you, or everybody's nice to meet Suzan. I'm sure you all have seen her on YouTube.
Can you guys hear?
Can you guys hear? I think you need to put your volume a little bit louder.
If there's a way.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we're good. We're good. You know, these technical difficulties sometimes. I get that's the part that makes me really nervous. It's like making sure the guest is on right on time and everything works. But
well, you guys, you did good.
You do fine.
Yeah. It's just that perfectionist in me. You know, I like to make sure that our viewers are happy and you know that they get to feel what we're feeling and get to feel our guests, and then we get to feel you. And it's all about connecting and loving one another and being in our truth. And it's, you know, it's what we strive for. And I have a feeling you guys are really going to enjoy this wonderful lady. Suzan has been through a lot, as we read on her bio. Suzan, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, what
Okay.
who are
I'm
you?
a grandma. I have children, grandchildren. I've lived in many places. I've been a nomad with my family, much to their dismay. Yeah, a lot of things have happened. I have had all sorts of experiences. I've been an addict. I've conquered that, fallen again. We all stumble. Been a lot of years now, but yeah. I've had nervous breakdown recently that I'm just coming out of, that lasted a couple of years. Yeah, life as you're getting older changes, especially for women. Well, I guess for men as well. There's a realization and a wisdom, or let's say a peeling of a way of layers of perception. And a lot of the way I frame things changed in the last year, doing a lot of actually Kane Ramsey's courses, which I would recommend to anyone. I did the NLP, mindfulness, lots of different things, life coach, mainly for myself, but also to be able to listen and help others get through things I've been through. Because if I'm going to help people, I want to be good at it. I want to be able to pull them out of whichever hole they've fallen into, or not pull them out. Now that's wrong. I want to show them different ways in which they can pull themselves out.
Exactly.
Frame that correctly.
Yeah, because people, we think we heal people, but we don't. We're just facilitators, and we help people see, because they ultimately have to heal themselves. Talk to me a little bit about your drug addiction, and I could relate totally with you, because I too, at one point in my life, I think from the time that I got to be around 17 till I was 24, I went into, from marijuana to cocaine, you name it, different things. And I think we all go through that kind of stuff, and then we grow up. And
that was basically what I did. I had gaps in between of a few years without using, and then back again, and then I was put on methadone, and yeah, it was a sleeping time, a time when I was totally unaware and just functioning like a robot.
And you need
not aware of it.
Sometimes you need that when you're in a lot of pain, and we kind of try to numb ourselves, medicate ourselves. Some people do it with food. Some people do it with drugs. Some people do it with alcohol. I mean, everybody has their numbing agent of choice that we all use. But I think it's an important phase that we all go through, because it's almost like we're in repair mode when that's happening. And although we're destroying ourselves, you know, because we're putting stuff in our bodies, but in a sense, it allows us to repair. It allows us to go within, and kind of, it's like that refinement that we have to go through, you know?
Yeah, it's something like that. I think it puts certain things on hold. It certainly puts maturing on hold. And that you have to catch up on when you're sober. Alcohol, whatever the substance is, basically you're on hold while you're on it. You're not maturing. You're existing.
But in that existing phase, I believe it's almost like when you have a cut and, you know, things are happening, little cells, the white blood cells go in there to try to clean everything up, to try to get everything back into balance and in order. And although we may think that we're not maturing, there's something that's happening, because within that destructive phase, you need to actually destroy something before you could actually build it back up.
Do you actually think of yourself as more of a recovering addict, or do you like that whole AA thing, or do you think of
No, I don't prescribe to the AA at all. That wasn't for me. It may be for some people. I'm not going to judge that, but for me, that was not the way.
Yeah, and I find that all these AAs and all these things that try to tell people what to do, including religion, which I find religion and the AA kind of has the same, mind control type of thing. They break you down to make you feel that you need them, to make you feel that you're worthless, to make you feel that you will forever be an addict and never get saved, and then you need to go to these AA meetings for the rest of your life. I disagree with that, just like you. I think that we should never label ourselves, and we should never put ourselves down, because everything that happens to us happens for a reason. Your thoughts on that, Suzan?
I agree. I agree with that. And it's a refinement process that, we do to ourselves as well. It's, I don't put a label on who I am. I look on the addiction as a lesson that I learned, and learned well, I may add. Yeah, it was a lesson. I don't label myself as an addict. I don't label myself as a gender. I don't label myself as anything but me.
And I find that society tends to want to put us all in a box, because it somehow, people feel better when they're put in some sort of box and get labeled.
Well, it's a way to really be able to control a population of people, when you can. It's like with branding, like cattle, you got to keep control of the cattle. You got to make sure they stay in the corral, make sure they don't get off into some other area and stuff. So I think it's really a way of controlling people. And that whole addiction thing with the AA and the recovery, and how they always constantly remember themselves as being a recovering alcoholic, it's always like, remember the past, remember who you were, instead of know who you are now. Yeah. The person that you are now is not that person.
That's right. But there is also a shame in moving forward that is heaped on your head. Like, you mustn't talk about this. You must pretend it didn't happen. You must not acknowledge it, because you won't get a job. Nobody wants an ex-addict as a job. So I just refuse to wear the addict label, same as the isms and the ists in the world and all the other labels, Christian, spiritual, whatever. I just don't subscribe to any of them, and I try to take captive the things that I say and correct it if an old paradigm or an old framework of reference sneaks through my mouth. I try to. You'll find this even when we were talking. I'll reframe that. This is more correct. This is the correct way I wish to say this. But sometimes the way we're programmed will still sneak through, and you have to take that hostage and look at it and say, no, that's not really what I meant. That was just the old framework of the topic concerned at the time.
Because old programmings are hard to break, and habits, and it's in that. It's in the brain still and kind of lingering, but like you
Renee said, labeling yourself is repeating memories that drudge up emotion, which stalls healing.
Exactly. And then
that's a good word.
You go back again into a space in the feeling that you felt when you were diseased, and it's so important to, anytime you get a thought like that, I was taught to always say, negate, all is well in my world, or replace it with a positive thought, because we have to reprogram ourselves to be in the right path, in the right frame of mind, so we don't fall back again to old behaviors.
Yeah. One of my favorite people says, before that and better.
Exactly.
Whenever one of those slips out. Exactly. Alex is wonderful.
And there's nothing, there's nothing we can do about the past.
Right. It's gone.
The past is like a perception at this point, because what we did yesterday is not going to affect today. Our reality today is what we have right now, this moment, so.
Yeah, let's get off the roundabout.
Yeah. It's like, if you allow yesterday to creep in today, you're gonna keep feeling the same feelings. You're gonna keep making the same mistakes. What's that saying that Einstein said? Yeah. Repeating the same thing and expecting a different outcome is madness.
Yeah, you've got to forgive. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to forgive other people. You've got to move forward. You can't keep going through the same pile of crap over and over again.
So what rabbit holes did you trot on? What was it that you?
I went through many rabbit holes as a truth seeker. Social media is one big rabbit hole with many diversions. Actually, I think I've got my own tour guiding booth there, if anybody needed a tour. Uh, I've done the starseed routes. I've done all sorts of things. I'm a perpetual seeker. I'm a student. I always will. And I guess I've allowed my eardrums to be tickled a few too many times by many, many people. But these days I tend to weigh it up, compare, and I can put things to one side and say, yeah, that tickled me a little bit, but I will look here. And one of the problems I still have is focusing solely on one thing, because there's so much of interest out there. You know, there's so many things that I'm looking at and trying to decide which direction I'm going to take the next decade. You know, where am I going to go from here? Am I going to travel? Am I going to what am I going to do? And yeah, the options are now just becoming available. Am I going to go online? Am I going to become a life coach? Am I going to cancel? Or am I just going to read? Either way, whichever feels best for me, that's the direction I will take. But at the moment, there's so many opportunities that I'm looking at that hopefully within the year I can start to make progress in that direction, one or the other.
One of the most incredible times that Mark and I had was when we decided to sell everything. And I mean everything. We got rid of it all, put everything we owned that clothing wise was 2 duffel bags. And even then we brought too much stuff in our little Prius, but we loaded our Prius up, put a little mattress back there, and we hit the road. And we were gone for 90 days. And it would have been longer.
I've done that a lot. I've done that a lot over my life. Just taken off. Okay, I'm not living here anymore. Come on, family, kids in the back of the van.
Wow.
We're off on an adventure, wherever it takes us. And we did that. I'm sure my family and kids really weren't appreciative of it, but I've done that.
And that's what we are. We're explorers by nature, you know. I mean, that is something that we can't deny, you know. We can't deny.
Well, it's a very exciting thing, and I think as travelers, that's what spirits are. You know, we need that. We need that gypsy blood. And when we feel that things are getting too stagnant, too boring, you know, and it just makes us unsettled. But you know, I think that one of the things as spirit beings, learning how to meditate, learning how to astral project, learning how to get to know yourself is a very big thing. And most people are always searching outside, but they fail to look within. So they're always either bored because the stimulation, outside stimulation, can never be enough. You know, it eventually gets tiresome and eventually you get burnt out and tired. So when you learn to go within, you're never bored. I mean, I find myself, I could just sit in my rocking chair and think and not be bored. You know, that's.
I don't suffer from boredom ever. I may be alone, but I'm not lonely. Which does surprise a lot of people who their perception is that I must be lonely because I'm looking after my mum. She's 87 this year. She's a cancer survivor, 2 heart attacks, stroke. She's very, very frail. So I can't be longer than an hour away from her. You know, and I've been here now this is moving into my 4th year this year. And so it has been a time where if I was the type of person that needed continual people around me, I would have gone crazy. But I quite enjoy my time. And I jealously guard it, actually. I allow, because I'm a firm believer in whoever's energy you allow into your life affects you. And the people you surround yourself with. And I also take that thought captive when dealing with my mother and loving her, putting things from the past to one side and, well, not to one side, I've processed them. I've looked at where she came from, her childhood, being born in the middle of World War II or around then, growing up with bombs dropping around her, having a nervous breakdown at 7, all her hair falling out. And the trauma that she had gone through with various relationships that she had in her life, violently and otherwise, and the things that shaped her. And in seeing that, I can see the way her mind was thinking, the unaware part of her as I was growing up. My father is still a bit of a mystery because he didn't share an awful lot about his childhood. So I can only assume that he just copied his father's method of disciplines and that type of thing. He was a very clever man. Very clever, actually. Yeah.
So I'm sure a lot of the viewers can relate with you being a caregiver, because there's a lot of people that, if they're not, will have to face that kind of role in their life. Even if they put their parents in a nursing home, you still have to worry about them, go visit them, or you might be taking care of them. As an occupational therapist, I dealt with a lot of families that it was very hard for them, to have the sick parent that they have to look after. Some of them have dementia, Alzheimer's, all sorts of ailment, from heart problems to you name it. I mean, it's a list a mile long. How does it feel? Because sometimes it's hard to vent. You really don't get to. And basically, I'm saying, how do you feel, and what kind of recommendations would you give to someone who's expecting to be a caregiver in the future?
Okay. I could never, ever, 10 years ago, have seen me being able to do this. My mother and I, we would headbutt within 20 minutes of being in the same room. Detachment. Detaching, and just as you do with the toddler, detaching from and understanding their frustrations, their desires not to see people because of whatever is going on with them physically. Understanding that the things that come out of their mouth are coming from the framework in which, and the programming in which they were subject to, which differs from yours. Once upon a time, I would have confronted and said, Mum, that's very judgmental. What are you doing? Whereas now I will sit back and I will ask a question regarding it to throw another light on the topic. Because I really would like her to find more peace in certain areas than I feel she has. Yeah.
So let's get into this experience that you had, your near-death experience. Now, what precipitated it and what happened?
Okay, can I read something first?
Sure. Go right ahead.
Okay, it's about memory. Now, I'm going to give you something that happened 3 decades ago. Now, memory in itself is, it's a hit and miss sometimes, especially if you have told the story a few times. Each time's got a little bit added onto it, and it seems to add into your memory. So when I was doing this, like yesterday, actually the day before, thinking about this and taking the actual experience captive in my mind and framing it, I wanted to be sure that everyone was aware that this was my perception 3 decades later. And so it may not be totally accurate. So I'm just going to read something because I researched memory regarding this. Okay. Human memory is notoriously unreliable, especially when it comes to details. Scientists have found that prompting an eyewitness to remember more can generate details that are outright false, but that just feel as if they're correct to the witness as the actual memories. Theoretically, the capacity of long-term memory could be unlimited, the main constraint on recall being accessibility rather than availability. Duration may be a few minutes or a lifetime. Free recall was worse. After 15 years, it was 60%, and after 48 years, it was 30% accurate. Childhood memories are less accurate than people think, with the brain likely to fill in gaps when it cannot remember the detail, has also been suggested. So today, I can give you my memories with 50 to 60% of hopeful certainty. But let me be clear, this is my perception of what occurred to me, looking down a tunnel multiple decades long. So I do not guarantee absolute truth, but I can share my recall of events that took place.
And they're your experience. And I was looking at a site called NDE Research Foundation, Near Death Experience Research Foundation, and they have a slew. Actually, they have one as early as January 7th of this year. And when you tell your experience, it'd be interesting to read some of those. But before we do that, there was somebody who, because I like to engage people in the conversation regarding, just go on there. Right here, Lindsay, actually, when you were talking about your mom, and I asked you that because I love to get the interaction and feel of the audience that's actually experience or would be experiencing what you're experiencing now with your mother. The patience that you've had to learn to have, because I know that as when we're younger, we don't have the patience for our parents. We get very upset, have little tolerance for anything. But as we get older and compassion starts to kick in, you learn not to let the little things affect you. As you said, you're like, okay, let me try to change this, because when you get to a certain age, you lose all flexibility in your brain. You become very, very unflexible. Everything kind of becomes, very hardened in the brain, and the synapses aren't as fluid. So Lindsay said, I'm 33. My mom is now in a nursing home, and she's 78 years old. She was pregnant with me at age 45. I've had to grow up very early in my life as she was older and had lots of health issues. And that, we're living in a generation where it could be called the sandwich generation. And I know I had a lot of patients who their kids would come into the nursing home, and it was just so stressful for them. So I didn't want to just, fluff off that particular part, because I think it's an important role that you're playing, and you can really help a lot of people with that.
And she continues and says she also had depression and anxiety problems and suffered substance abuse throughout my childhood. She had a difficult life, and I can understand how she felt and what she dealt with.
Yeah. So is there any words of wisdom that you would like to tell Lindsay, or maybe, just, I don't know.
I empathize. Each person is unique to themselves, and each relationship is unique. The only thing that I can say is take your emotions out of it, step back, and just try to be as kind as you can.
And that's an important lesson for everyone to learn, not just dealing with a sick parent or a sick child, but for every little encounter that we have in life, because we humans tend to react to situations. And sometimes that reaction is not very kind. And we tend to go in a place of anger, of frustration. And I think it's part of the work that we as spirit beings are learning, to not allow that frustration or that instant reaction to kick in into our feelings of hurt.
Isn't that like your fight or flight?
Yeah, it's a flight or fight, and that's
decision making.
Exactly. And we need to learn how to put filters on that and not allow that flight or fight, but come from a place of compassion, of caring, because we never know the day that we will be in those shoes, whether we are in a nursing home and we have to deal with a nurse who might have had a bad day. Well, we hope that she knows how to break free from that bad day and could actually come from a place of compassion. Right?
That's right. Also, I'm a big subscriber to the 5-second, or in my case, 15-second rule when it comes to dealing with triggers. And that's something that I've learned probably the last 6 months. It's a fairly new thing. I used to be very trigger happy, which was entertaining for many. Yeah, the 5 to 15-second rule, learn to just step back from the emotions that are triggered and look at what's creating the flap in the person, or the sharpness, or the covert remarks, that can a passive aggressive, whatever it is. Just take yourself out of the equation and focus on them, not your reaction. That would be the one thing that I have learned from caring, to take myself out of the situation and not take anything personally. Because it's not my perception of me, it's not me, it's other people's perceptions of me. And that includes my mum.
And that's great advice to give, because, you know, when we step out of the equation and we're able to almost to be a spectator viewing the theatrical event that's taking place, it makes us able to handle the situation a lot better than to wear our feelings in our sleeve, become frustrated, and say awful things, you know, and then just kind of like try to understand the other person. Like you say, you understand that, you know, she might be in pain. She might not be all there. She might have a bit of dementia. Medication could be taking some of the blame, you know, and things of that nature. So by going into the place of compassion, it's a wonderful thing to.
Now, I mean, I was reading that book, The 4 Agreements, and one of the agreements was to not make assumptions, you know, because when you do, then you put yourself in a position that you shouldn't be in, you know, and you put a person in a position that they shouldn't be in. And it's just not fair. It's not fair. Well, Phoenix, our wise sage of the live chat, says, listen to She Said It, because she has been there. Listen to her, learn how she acts, tells me this. Her hands, her eyes, she sees. So you're being affirmed by another wonderful woman who sees.
Thank you, Phoenix.
Yes, definitely. And welcome, Lynn, and welcome, Phoenix. You got in a little late. And hello, John, and everyone that's joining us. And thank you so much for spending this time with us. So,
I wanted to acknowledge John. Johnson went through all that with my mom, bless her heart. She passed away in January.
Sorry about that, John.
Even bad boys love their mothers.
Oh, yes. And then, you know, men have the capacity to be nurturing. It's just the programming has been so set one way that you've got to be the warrior, the breadwinner, and men are usually not allowed.
Emotional. You can't.
Yeah, they're not allowed to be in touch with their emotion. And I say bravo to the men that are trying to bring that feminine side into you and realize that you need that to be able to be a full human being. You know,
programming has corrupted us.
Oh yeah,
totally has.
And I just wanted to add, Lynn McGraw said, I believe many that they say that they have mental issues, I think are really more awake than most people and do not understand the truths behind it. Does that make sense to you?
Perfect sense to me. How about you, Susan?
Yeah, it makes sense to me as well. I've met a diverse amount of people that some people would classify as mentally ill, or I've walked the streets of Melbourne. I've been dumpster diving with people. I've done all sorts of things, really. I've had adventures you probably should write a book at some stage. But and you know what? Some of the most diverse people that some may consider have issues, are the most delightfully creative, and they have eyes. They can see. They can read between the lines. They can read you. And that also comes from a place of survival with a lot of the homeless as well. They have to learn to read you to survive. They have to learn to read people.
Yeah, it's important. A lot of people want to label people with schizophrenia, bipolar, depression, this, that, and the other. And they're basically, all they are coping skills that people develop to be able to cope with life or not cope with it, whichever way. But I believe that once these individuals are validated, once they could really learn to look within, then, you know, I think will be able to break free from the diagnosis, the mental conditions. I think people with mental conditions have more insight, just like Lynn said. You know, there's a lot more insight in somebody who is being called schizophrenic. Maybe they're seeing another dimension than many of us.
Phoenix says schizophrenics measured heaven and God made them this way, and bipolars come from both sides of the tree.
Yeah. And
you know, so just because
I've been described as bipolar.
Yeah. And I think we all, because we're living
We're
almost like
something.
double-minded, double-minded individuals, because we're being told one thing, but our insides are telling us something else. So it's like that struggle that we have within ourselves. And what we have to learn is like, stop listening to the outside voices, listen within, and realize that, hey, we're perfect the way that we are. And we're living in a battlefield. So we have to learn how to battle in this battlefield and keep ourselves up and survive, you know?
I've been a warrior a long time.
I could see that. A beautiful warrior. So go ahead, Suzan, and proceed with
Okay.
your story, your experience.
Well, I'll set the scene. It's Mount Isa, which is in the middle of the desert in Australia. Country hospital, no air conditioning except in theatre and children's ward and ICU. I spent a few months in there so I didn't lose my baby. I had an incompetent cervix, which meant I had to have a stitch in because I'd had quite a few miscarriages and lost a baby at 23 weeks, one at 17 weeks previous to that. So they whacked a stitch in and put me on bed rest. Well, my son still decided to come early like all the others, and at 31 weeks I went into labour. So after 8 hours of labour, they decided to take the stitch out. Yes, this is really happening. Okay. Then my son, being the true Gemini he is, changed his mind and didn't come. So I ended up having to have an emergency Caesar. That was after 36 hours of labour. So whilst on the table, I died. And my son also, he had to be intubated. Was being intubated at the same time because he wasn't breathing. So I saw this happening. As I recall it, I was out of my body and up at the place, like observing from some place where I would say the hospital light was, the clock. But it wasn't like looking through these eyes. It was like I had 360 vision. And the one thing that I brought back was that nothing was solid. Everything was a vibration. The people, the steel table that my body was on, the walls. I was aware of what was happening on the other sides of the walls. This was long before the film The Matrix, by the way. There was none of that in my head for me to have that expectation. And it wasn't like The Matrix, but it was similar. It was a frequency, vibrational thing. I didn't have tunnels. I didn't have any angels or anything like that. But I didn't have any feelings or emotions either. There was no fear. And I presume that's because I was disconnected from the monkey mind, the chatterer that evokes all these emotions and triggers. It was a unique experience that became the seed to me searching for what was beyond.
So while you saw yourself in that 360 view, were you able to hear? I mean, I know there's a lot of reports where people are actually seeing the scramble of the doctors trying to use the defibrillator, or doctors scrambling and people talking. Some people even mentioned like leaving that area and going through the hallway and hearing their loved ones crying and things of that nature. Were you able to auditorily hear anything? Did I say that?
It wasn't like seeing and hearing. It was like being conscious of it all. The words, being conscious of what was being reenacted in front of me on the table. My body was there. Interesting fact, a bit yuck, but when you have a Caesar, this is something I didn't know until that experience, was that they actually pull the uterus out onto your legs to take the baby out. And I never knew that. But that was just, so yes, there was vision, but it wasn't vision as in what you see with your eyes or what you hear with your ears. it was being conscious of it. That's about, I haven't got the right words to describe other than that. Being conscious of everything around me, but yet not seeing it as we see with vision with these eyes, or hearing as we hear with these ears.
And I could totally relate to what you're saying, because human beings want words to explain an event that there's no words really for, because it's like not something that one experiences every day. And when you're out of your body, your energy, and energy doesn't react the same way when it's in these meat suits as it does when it's outside. Even the recollection, because you said it's been a few decades or 3 decades ago. That's very hard. I mean, the only way I could equate is like when you have a dream and you remember little bits and pieces of it, but you can't really like put the story together, and you're like really trying to find the memory of that dream, but we can't. We can never actually put that dream in.
You know, and another thing I was thinking about, maybe people think that deaf people, blind people are somehow disabled. And I think that they are living in another type of like almost an out-of-body experience, because their senses are not dictating to them. They don't need their eyes to see. They don't need their ears to hear. So there is something that happens in that spiritual sense that allows the body to do what it needs to do without needing its senses to do it. So I was wondering, you know, like Phoenix said that it was an awareness of self that you were feeling. Would that be accurate? Like you were self-aware, but
it was definitely a self-aware energy that I was. But it was also it wasn't my personality energy. It was a watcher energy, if that makes sense. Being aware of, I often say, who's watching the watcher? You know, and that's like that part of you inside, probably the God particle or whatever, the cell of the great source, whichever. But I was self-aware, but I wasn't Suzan.
Yeah, because when you're away from the meat suit, you lose that identity. You become consciousness. You become one with all that is. And it's, you know, it gives, I love to hear about near-death experience, because it gives people hope that there is something more than this, and that there is something better. Most people fear death. And I would have to say, why fear it? It's like the easiest thing to do, because it's natural. It will happen. Those are the guarantees. We're all going to die. And when we do, you know, we can't go in a place of religious fear of like, you're going to go to heaven, you're going to go to hell. I mean, that to me is the most cruelest abuse that any organization could possibly do to humankind. Instead of giving them peace and teaching them to welcome death, because I believe that's freedom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, what the church teaches, you know, because I come from a Christian background, is that man is appointed once to die, and then the big J, the judgment, you know, and it's like, da, 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 you know. So I was wondering if your view of that, when you went through that near-death experience and you were in that moment, do you feel that, you know, your lack of like being raised in like some religious environment, you know, helped you in that transition when you were there?
I was raised in a religious environment. I went to church until I was 14, 3 or 4 times a week.
So do you think that affected your perception, or
no? Because I should have seen angels and tunnels of light and God knows what, or
the pearly gates and all that.
Or had the finger of God going, you did this. No.
And that's pretty amazing, because usually people do report. So that's a good thing. I guess the archons didn't, you know, weren't either privy to the fact that you were going to die, or they probably knew that you were going to come right back, and they didn't try to tunnel you into the light and have you see your great-great-grandparents and all these people, and then, you know, see your life flash before you. So that's a good thing that that didn't happen. May I ask you how long before you actually re-entered your body?
It would have been the 6 minutes. I remember going like a whoosh, where, do you know what was really surprising? I forgot about this part. It really, one of the things when I came round from the anesthetic that surprised me was that I could fit back into my body because I felt so big. Well, my son was intubated for 6 minutes, and when he took his first breath, I went back into my body, as I recall. But yet one of the first thoughts, I do remember this, come back, was, I don't know how I fit in this body. It was like so big, you know.
Because you were consciousness, and consciousness, you know, even though you probably weren't aware of spatial relationship, because as spirit, as energy, I'm sure we don't recall that. So you saw yourself big, and then having to go into that body must have been like, yeah, like you said, how did I fit? Do we have any questions from the viewers regarding this, or comments that regarding Suzan's?
Well, we had Lori Beth wrote, been listening to you for a couple of months. It's about time I say I love you too. Oh, so very much. Thank you so much. And thank you and love you. You said it, speaking loudly to me, but always so gently. Hugs and kisses.
Awesome. Hugs and kisses to you too. And I'm sure Suzan sends her hugs and kisses.
Yes.
Let's see here.
So let's see here.
Just trying before we continue. I always like to include our guests and our friends and family.
Zupet joins us. Hi, Zupet.
How you doing?
My NDE, there was awareness, not of self, but awareness of all.
Interesting. Interesting. And pretty much the same thing that you're saying. You weren't really aware of you. You were just like, everything was, you know, pretty much like a 360 type of thing. And Phoenix says, let it all go and fly. Dying is wonderful. In a controlled place, she has it. She is right. Her feelings, her journey. Exactly, because we all have different things. Let's see. And hello, Kitten T. Thank you for joining us.
Brenda Callan says, I talk to people who have passed in my dream state. Great conversations. One friend who died told me it's a higher vibration where he was.
Yeah, and you did mention that it's all
frequency,
because that's what we are. We are people. I don't know what people think a spirit is or a soul, but it's all vibration. It's all energy. You know, and it's hard to put in words. It's hard to try to wrap our brains around the experience of death. You know, and it's very unique to everyone because, you know, I hate to think that we all die the same or have the same experience, because I think we all have some sort of uniqueness to the way we are born and to the way that we go and where we go after.
Right.
John says, thank be to God, I read the book before I went into the building. Sorry, off topic.
John says, there is more beyond me.
Yes.
You know, he's asking, you know, there's more beyond me. And I would say, yeah, because there's more beyond you, because you are the all. You are part of the all. You are part of divinity itself. You are part of
a collective,
the essential collective of all living things, right? That energy. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. And then Emily says, my heart stopped giving birth to my daughter, and my grandmother told me, you're okay, go back. Interesting. Interesting.
I mean, look at the grandma as being an aspect of herself as her ancestor as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Renee says, Debovitz, sorry, this place feels like death compared to where we go when we, quote unquote, die.
Yeah, it's like, that's why a lot of people don't want to come back. Hesitantly, they come back because, you know, they feel they have to, or there's some unfinished business. But I'm sure it's got to be way better than this. Way better. Did you feel that? Did you like hesitantly not want to get back into your body, or were you willingly?
I didn't care.
You didn't care?
No, there was
you
no
heard the,
emotion or longing to go back in. I really just, what will be, will be. I didn't even think about it. Hey, here's a question. If everything truly is, as I saw it, a vibration and nothing solid, if I bang my head on this table, does it hurt because I perceive that it's solid and it should?
Yeah.
well, we are hearing, there's something I was reading where none of this is real. It's just a perception of our senses. Our body is decoding things in a very limited way, and nothing is really literally touching you, right? It's just like that negative, positive, response.
I would have to answer that question when babies or children, fall and hurt themselves. You notice that they don't cry right away. They kind of look at the parent first. And
Yeah.
if they see that the parent's all alarmed, like, oh my God, the kid fell, he broke his head. The kid then goes, ah, and starts to cry and gets all like freaked out. But it's like, if you don't make it a big deal, the kid just gets up and just keeps going, right?
Yep.
So,
But I think what brought you back was your baby's crying, right?
I was gonna say, I think you were probably worried for your son and felt that you had to come back.
Yes. Also, with my son, his Bambinski, on the bottom of his feet, that didn't come in till the third day, and they actually told me that he wasn't responding via the brain at all, and I refused to accept it. And I remember breastfeeding him, and he was so tiny, and looking into his face, and his eyes opened, and he looked at me, and I said, nurse, come and do the Bambinski now. He's here. He's here. And they patted me, and they felt sorry for me and all the rest of it, but he was there. And he's brilliant. There's nothing wrong with his brain. He's brilliant.
Yeah, and that's a very common test that they do. They give you a ratio number, and your reflexes have to be a certain way. But, this doom and gloom mentality that the medical community has needs to go out the window, because
he had no reaction at all on the soul. And then 3 days later,
you willed it to happen. You willed it to happen. That's the power of the mother love, Oh, you just kind of went off again?
Hang on.
Emily says that she didn't want to come back. And Tracy says that awareness of how huge your spirit was outside the body, that you would wonder how could you fit in the body? Just wow. I mean, honestly, we are amazing.
Yeah.
I'm here, but my device has gone on low power mode, and I don't want to fiddle with it in case I cut you off.
Oh, okay.
Because it's down to 20%. Sorry about that, folks.
What's down to 20%? Is it something you need to plug in, or
can you charge
the battery? The battery device isn't near me. Just hang on a minute.
Yeah, if you just
I'll just turn off the. It's gone on to power saving mode.
Okay, but maybe you could plug it in. And while you do that, we're going to go ahead and read some of these accounts on the NDERF. There's somebody by the name of William H. Possible. I don't know if that's their true name or not, but they're from the UK, and they say, I saw people walking their dog, moms with their pushchairs, businessmen holding their briefcases. There were people from all walks of life. I found myself in a beautiful garden with colors so vivid. The colors were unlikely any on earth. The grass was neatly cut and the hedges trimmed so perfectly. I walked along a little path as though I was just on a little visit. That kind of sounds to me, what was that movie that we saw?
What Dreams May Come? What?
That one. And there was one I think Jim Carrey played in where
The Truman Show?
Yeah, and there was another movie that we saw that kind of, it's almost like they put us in these, because I'm a high believer that.
Is it the one where he's playing God for the day? Or
no, that was the one that the wife was out shopping and cheated on the husband, and the husband died, and there were something like that. But it's almost like these little scenarios that were put in, it's almost like these archons place us there, making us believe that there's this heaven or hell, and then recycle us back here to earth, and it's you know, because the deal is to get out completely.
Well, Tracy Roberts says, do you think we experience different things because our higher selves are on a different plane or planet
Could
of
possibly.
existence to have a different perspective?
Could be, or it could be the programming that we have within us that the archons use against us, you know, to get us right back here where we started from. So let's see, let's read a few more. Let's read right here, whichever one you want.
Kathy O says, that's when he said to me, suicides are not allowed to receive the light. They remain in darkness. I don't,
Right.
You're making it too big, so
Okay,
I can't
there you
read it. I don't know if he was using this as a scare tactic to frighten me or if he was speaking the truth, but I wasn't going to question him. Then he spoke the words, which I will never forget, as he said, life is a gift and it's not up to us to take it.
You
So
know.
it was a kid at 16 who was suicidal,
Yeah.
who came back.
Came back. I had a feeling of peace, calmness, pure love, and bliss all around me. What I saw was the most beautiful hue of a bright golden light all around me. This was Anna. The room that was no kind of room was a never-ending soft hue of golden light with no walls. It was similar to a sunset in the clouds. It's so hard to explain. There was nothing around me. I remember feeling peaceful, but still confused. I had my arms crossed and was walking around trying to figure out where I was. Then I heard a man's voice. I turned around and it was my husband smiling at me. At this moment, I did not know that he had been killed. He looked so happy and healthy. His hair was nicely cut, despite prior the day I was supposed to cut his hair, but never got around to it. The confusing thing for me was that he had a long sleeves, gold shirt on. I remember thinking he never dresses like that. See, to me, that is almost like, what do you think? Oh, she left us. Oh, no, there you are.
There.
She's there. What do you think?
I'm just in the lounge today.
Okay. What do you think that, you know, to me, that just sounds organic. Totally.
Organic.
Yeah, the argons, or was it arcans, whatever are they called again?
Arconic?
Arconic,
Okay.
yeah. It sounds like, you know, she said her husband wouldn't be wearing that, you know, and the haircut and yeah, that kind of sounds a little, you know, like.
Well, the golden halo, the bright blue sky, the gold light. It's all very what we're basically programmed to believe, like the Jesus with the golden halo and the angels, and gold is a color that frequently turns up in near-death experiences. I'm not quite sure why, because all that glitters is not gold.
Exactly. And I think that's the programming, because, you know, that's what people think. You know, they see a saint and they see the golden halo. And so to me, all that sounds is like, definitely, if you die and you see the light, do not go there.
Yeah, somebody said, Lynn said, archons use false light. And somebody else said that black is all colors. So white light is bad. Phoenix said, white light is bad.
Yes.
You don't want to go there.
I had a lot of difficulty today. I realized that my wardrobe is 95% black. And I thought, what am I going to wear? Oh, black or black or black. I was actually looking for something a little brighter, more cheerful, like, you know, maybe a lemon top or something like that. But I need to do some serious color shopping.
But the thing is, we've been taught to believe that black is bad and white is good. We've been programmed to believe that number 13 is an unlucky number. I think a lot of these programmings are set there for not our benefit. You know, it's to kind of program us to believe certain things. And, you know, black is really the rage of all colors.
That's what Derek
That's
says.
what Derek says.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying it because Derek says
No,
that.
I know,
just,
but
I believe that that's the truth. And, you know, we've been taught to think light is all good, but is it, you know?
Yeah, I just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to have a special guest tomorrow.
Yes, Derek is going to be joining us tomorrow at 5:30 Mountain Time. And we're going to just be talking about all the different characters in this play we call life, and all the different, you know, Enki and Mark. Try to really
piece it
together, brainstorm, you know, see where his
sounds good.
His views are, and really, you know, try to get everything together, because there's a lot of people saying certain things, and it's kind of like try to like organize it, put it in an outline, try to explain it a little bit more, try to understand things.
Because it gets
Related.
Yeah, definitely. So we're looking forward to that. So then you got back in your body 6 minutes later, and what did you feel as you? Obviously, they probably told you died or you were, you flatlined, which is usually what they tell people. What?
Yes, they told me. They did tell me that. I was in ICU for 3 days afterwards. Not just down in the surgical ward because I'd had a lot of issues. I'm an eclamptic, so I had eclamptic fits during the pregnancy. It wasn't just preeclampsia. I'd actually gone into full-scale eclamptic fits. And it was touch and go for a while in ICU. For both of us, actually, for both my son and myself. Although he was in a different place. I didn't get to see him until he was 3 days old. Yeah, I remember asking questions regarding things that had occurred around me. And there was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, I can't really remember exactly what the qualification was, that was down or was across or up from Brisbane. And they came and talked to me and asked me to describe certain things. And I think I described it pretty much as I have now, but I may not have. As I said, memory is a very random thing at times, especially if you've repeated a story, and coming from a line of storytellers that have great imaginations and like to tell a story. I probably have added bits on without realizing over the years that I've tried very hard to separate in the last couple of days before coming on, because that's the human condition. Things get repeated and it ends up like Chinese whispers, even when you're the one doing the repeating over the years. And that's what I was trying. That's why I read that piece out, because I didn't want to be absolute about something that I can't possibly be absolute about 3 decades later.
Well, you shouldn't worry about that because it is your story. And like you said, we're storytellers, and sometimes our memories aren't all there. And it's like telling a dream that you're trying to recall it, and you might not. But the essence of it, what you went through, and knowing that you did die, knowing that you do have somewhat of a memory of what took place, it's important. It's important to hear your story. I know that Tracy, we mentioned about Friday the 13th being a bad day. She said her angel was born on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I believe the 13th is a very lucky number. The actual archons or whoever it is try to make it seem like it's an unlucky number. But
Phoenix said that they made the number 13 bad, and that black cats were bad, and that she has, facts that prove that it wasn't so.
On the contrary, 13 is a very lucky number, and black is a very lucky color, a good color. It's not.
And Lori joins us. Hi, Lori. Lori says, funny you say that about the number 13. That's been my number my entire lifetime. Actually, it's 1313. I use it for absolutely everything.
Yeah. We have to be mindful of the programming and the deceit that we are being told. So it's very important. Anything else before more questions?
I say my number is 13/1313, but Spirit showed me 4 consistently. So, I just think that the invert is the truth a lot of times in this planet. It just seems like, if they tell you it's one way, it's got to be the other way. And, one of the messages that the Christ gave was, the first shall be last, the meek shall inherit the earth, and so everything's opposite of the world system.
Yeah, totally. So Phoenix said he wanted immortality and lost mankind immortality and use their religion and God to get it done. They lost Babylon burns, and the son lost Hani had no sons.
13 is the highest spiritual number,
it is.
She said.
It is. And many people are not aware of that. And let's see. All right. And we've got Truth Seeker says they made even Black people bad when they are amongst the most spiritual people on the planet. That's true. Hello, Michael. Thank you for joining us. Yes. So we have more questions for you lined up here. I want you to give me your reaction to this statement here. And the reason I'm going to ask the statement because, we spoke before the show that women, after they get to be a certain age are discredited. They're no longer looked up.
I thought this was interesting because Renee asked, can you ask what changed in her life after this happened?
Okay. Yeah.
Did any gifts open up?
Did anything change for you after your near-death experience happened? Was there any gifts that opened up?
It planted a seed to develop gifts. And I went on from there to my first ever visit to a spiritual church. Studied Reiki, John Velo, Melchizedek, many, many things, UFOs. I went down every road that I could find to try to gain some clarity. Well, it wasn't just to try to gain some clarity on what the experience I had. It was because a whole new world had opened up in the way I thought, the way I perceived things. And it was an adventure. I was interested. I was really interested. It was the carrot at the end of the stick. That's what the experience was. It was the carrot at the end of the stick. And I don't regret going down many rabbit holes, to be honest, despite some of the negative effects that I have also been through. They're all lessons, because I'm just a rabbit hole jumper. I like rabbit holes. I will go down them. As I said, I could be a tour guide. Having said that, there is peace in knowing your way around the rabbit holes.
Oh, definitely. One of our viewers, Michael, asked, can you ask, was there a temperature in the near-death experience, or was it purely a feeler by feeling or emotion? Oh, he wrote feeler. Yeah, feeling. Yeah, feeling or emotion.
I don't recall any emotion. I recall actually really lack of emotion, and in that there's sort of a peace. Maybe some would describe it as love. I would describe it as detached peace. I wouldn't have described it as love because that, I don't know, in the human body, love has a more physical feel as well to it, not just a soul feel. When we frame the word love, we may try not to, but when we frame the word love, we think of children's eyes looking up at us, or our beloved, or our parents, or the dog, or whatever evokes that feeling.
Do we make too much out of the word love? I mean, because I'm feeling that it's kind of like the Archon's way of capturing us emotionally.
Bombing is definitely the way that's used to capture, train, and subdue the curiosity and awareness of people. Yes.
I died when I was 1 year old, and I don't have much recollection of what happened except coming back and being attached to an IV. But the way that I would say I look at love, or not in a fleshy thing, but being part of everything that is, being in peace and in harmony and in connection with it all. I mean, that to me encompasses what love is. When you are part of all that is and in love and in harmony, like when I feel love for my friends and family, it's like I feel like we are connected, we are one, and we are doing this beautiful dance together. And that's
that was the feeling. I was part of everything. There wasn't any separation that I recall.
Yeah.
The feeling was being part of everything. And there was no joy in that. There was no pain in that. It just was. Yeah. There is no word that I can use that can frame that feeling correctly.
And correct me if I'm wrong, even though you have bits and pieces of recollection, and I have none because I don't remember. I mean, I was 1 year old, but I do have a sense of certain things that maybe most people don't, because I did die. Like knowing that I'm connected to everything, knowing my higher self to the point where I connect with my higher self. And I've been connecting with my higher self since I was a little kid. I used to talk, which I used to think I was talking to God. But now that my spiritual belief is that my higher self is who I'm communicating with. So knowing that sense, it's almost like you have this angel on your back for those that, you know, want to believe in angel, or you have this guide, which I call the higher self. And when you've died, you've got that closer connection, that empathic sense that I can't even put it in words, but I think you relate to what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. But it didn't also occur immediately. I was back in my body. It's been a journey. From being, even before that occurred, I was always empathic. Always empathic. I was always defending the underdog. I would always be the protector. I would always feel my parents' emotions before they were apparent. Well, that was also survival instinct, but same with my brother and the people around me. I used to have this saying, and this was back in my bad old days. I've made a living out of reading people's faces, but what probably would have been more accurate was I read people, their energies, not their faces.
I hear you, because
Mark does the same exact
and I
thing.
gather that from dying. You know, like I said, I don't remember what actually happened, but I've certainly got abilities that most people would not have, because I think when you died and you literally touch that place, that realm, and you come back, it's almost like veils are removed. And like you said, you read, it's not even reading. It's like, you feel, you become them. You know, sometimes when I meet somebody brand new, it's like a flashing book of their life comes in front of me. I'm like, why am I getting all this information? I really don't want to know this.
I need to know this.
You know, and that's what happens.
And Foster says, how do we know we aren't being tricked when we cross over? Is there anything we can ask to verify where we are?
Well, what we said earlier, we don't know that. And that's why we have to be very mindful of who you are in your higher self and be very concrete in your beliefs, because the archons will use that when you're dying, and they will trick.
Who are you going to ask?
That's true.
And you've got to be able to like have that connection while you're alive and here. This is the time, folks, to make that connection, to learn who you are. This is the training session, because if you don't get it, you're going to keep coming back. And as I'm hearing, this is going to be our last rodeo. So
apparently
you've got to really, really get to know thyself. Instead of spending all this time on how much money you're going to put in the bank, you know, how much clothing you're going to buy, how much materialistic things you're going to gather, start working on your spiritual awakening. Start working on learning who you are. Stop giving your powers away. I mean, would you say the same thing, Suzan?
I definitely would. A lot of people are very focused on what they will get, what they are given, what they can spend, what they cannot spend. They're just things. Other than a roof over your head and food in your stomach and being warm or cool, whichever, you really don't need anything else.
I'm with you on that one. I'm totally with you.
I have a saying that I've used for some time. He who dies with the most toys does not win. He who dies with the best memories wins.
Exactly. Exactly. Best memories and best healing work and best knowing thyself, because that's what we're here to do. And we get totally sidetracked by the glitz and the glamour, and we take our bodies way too serious. And it's like, you can't take your body with you. So why are you want to keep a healthy temple because it helps with your spiritual connection and the work that you got to do here. But, don't be sitting there spending hours in that mirror and worrying about this, that, and the other. That ain't going to help you any. You ain't going to take that with you when you go.
Lori Chavez wanted to share. She said, same here, Mark. I died at birth too, turned blue, and was brought back to life. Also, again, when I had my strokes a few years ago, my sister tells me this is why I am to feel everything. I'm able to feel everything and energy.
Yeah, that's what happens. Because when you die, you come back with, abilities that most people don't have. And it's not that they don't have it, because they do, but they, you know, it's like when you die, you go to that side and then you come back. So you're almost like, you know, very, very fresh. It's like when you're a kid, you're a baby. Children have the most amazing abilities.
They do.
You know, they see spirits. They'll read your face. They're very honest and they're innocent. As we get older, it's like these filters and layers of filters. So when you die, you get all those filters removed again.
You become a child again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, let me see. Renee said, my story also, many empaths turn to drugs to stop feeling so much.
Yes, that's
having to distinguish which are your feelings and someone else's is something that only experience can give you. And, you know, there's been many times when I have mistakenly felt somebody else's rage or emotion and just enacted it when I was less aware. I'm only just now reopening the box to my skill set. So I put them in the box and put the lid on them for a few years, the last 4 or 5 years, majoritively. But watch out, folks. I've taken the lid up and they're coming back out.
There you go. Watch out. She's here. So let me go back to that when I was kind of trying to set the stage here about, you know, how society looks at women after the age of 50, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read you the statement and I want you to tell me how it makes you feel. And ladies that are listening to the show, please feel free to comment in the comment section. A prize-winning French author faces backlash online after he reportedly declared he was incapable, quote unquote, of loving women over the age of 50 because they are too old and invisible to him.
Jan Moix, who is 50 himself, told Marie Claire's magazine French edition that he preferred the bodies of younger women, according to multiple media reports. The body of a 25-year-old woman is extraordinary, he said. He's also a television presenter. The body of a woman of 50 is not extraordinary at all.
So please tell Mr. whatever his name is how that makes you feel. And ladies, please, you know, it's like,
we don't care. We don't care what he thinks. He's an ugly, baggy old fart.
I know he's 50 himself, but it's like, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. What's up with that?
We don't care. We don't want him anyway.
You probably don't even want that attention. You know,
no, not at all.
It's like, why?
Yeah. Well, see, young women are not wise and they think they need man's approval and the gaze of man. And that's what they do, all that they do. And not all ladies. I mean, I've known a lot of really down to earth young women who are in touch with themselves and don't need the approval of men.
You weren't like that.
I couldn't care less what men, and that's why I dated women. And that's why I was with women for all these years. But, you know, when you are.
I really think that as we get older, maybe not everybody, I can only speak for myself. I am me. I am 60 this year, and I'm going to own this age. I'm not going to pretend to be 40. I'm not going to put my tits up around my chin so I have a great cleavage. I'm not going to dye my hair blonde. I like gray, and I have taken a hell of a lot of hits about the gray hair. I don't care. This is me. And I don't particularly want to be identified as a sexual object by anybody. My divine masculine and my divine feminine, they're pretty well equal. I'm pretty much feeling androgynous. As the estrogen left, my disease to please or care for a guy left as well. I certainly don't want to look after another man, ever. I want to have a life. And if that involves having a female companion instead of a male, so be it. That's what I will do.
Exactly. And if you have to spend every waking hour worried about how you look to please somebody, or even worry about how you look to please yourself, because then that's all superficial. That to me is like, what a waste of time and energy and life.
And I wanted to add, you know, in our particular situation here, as a trans person, I honestly see that as the most evident characteristic of trans women today, is that they have no room for anyone else but themselves, and that damn mirror that they look at, you know, and their complexion. And it's like,
They're
you look at
slaves.
their Facebook page and it's always single, and it doesn't matter how beautiful they could be, you know, how young, it doesn't matter, because they don't have room in their lives for anyone else, you know. And
one of the most beautiful things that a woman or a male can possess that makes them the most attractive is having some joy and acceptance of themselves and confidence in who they are.
And
That my friend, is the most attractive thing you can have.
that's
And painting your lips red, or putting your falsies on, dyeing your hair green, red, orange, whatever. That's all decorations. It's not who you are. Own who you are.
yeah, because it's a turnoff. The other is a turnoff. You know, it's like a person wants to be with a person that is real, that you know that there's no hidden anything, that they're not, you know, it's like when a person makes themselves the most important thing to have their gaze in that mirror, then it's like one feels like, what am I here for? You know?
Maybe it's also an insecurity because of the patriarchal view of the young childbearing woman is the only one that's worth having. That once your use-by date for childbearing is up, you're disposable.
And that's pretty sad. And that's
been for that's been hundreds of years, that way of thinking. I mean, lots of men in their 50s end up getting divorced, buying a sports car, and paying through the nose to have a younger woman on their arm.
And that's really sad because, you know, women are like wine. As they age, they get better, they get wiser. You know, some of these young women, and not to say all, because I don't want to put down the young generation, but the majority of them have no brain. You can't engage in a conversation with them. It's all about the looks and the career and the material things. I mean, they're hardly even being good mothers because they're so focused on their careers and themselves. So people need to like get rid of that mask and really go within.
We watched a beautiful video about 3 years ago with the late Russell Means and his wife Pearl, and they are, you know, Native Americans, and he was a Native American activist. And the way he described his wife was just beautiful. It was like, she is like the wise one, and I needed her wisdom, because men are not born with wisdom, you know. And I'm talking about what we were talking about yesterday, wisdom that comes from the womb, and men don't possess that kind of wisdom. It may be known as, you know, a woman's intuition. It could be, you know, taken and minimized during those child-rearing years because of the estrogen. But after that blossoming happens and she turns into this beautiful, wise flower, you know, as she ages, it's like you get to be in the presence of something that beautiful, you know, that
true beauty,
that articulate. And it's like looking at a beautiful snowflake, you know, without touching it. You know, it's just amazing, the detail. And, you know, so.
And, you know, women my age, they should be really preparing the path for the ones coming down there.
Yes.
Because they're going to be treading in the same footsteps. So by embracing your gray hair, by proudly rocking your age, you make it less scary for them, because getting older can be scary for some women. It really can. You know, they see their worth as being weighed by their youth. And hell, I was dumb when I was young. I was really dumb. I didn't think I was.
I hear you.
But I was. I really was. I was really dumb. I was easily... I'd clip myself around the ear hole if I could right now.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you totally. Leslie's asking a question. Can you explain what you mean, Mark, when you say this is the last rodeo? That sounds scary. Well, I know it may sound scary, Leslie, but what I'm saying is all the spirits in the world that have lived are all here now. We are entering a new age where the earth is shifting. There's a lot of changes in the planetary out there, whatever we want to call it. And I believe this is one of the reasons why they're trying to get us into a robotic state of singularity, because something is going to happen that they're not going to keep recycling us. They're not going to be able to. So we are going into, I don't want to say scary. It's an amazing, exciting time. And if we do the work, we're going to be fine. The key is to break free from the systems, break free from the materialistic world that we're living in, and learning yourself, learning your spirit. This is a time, this is the best education that you could possibly get now, this day and age. Don't be scared, be confident.
And we can talk about, the singularity, possibility that is coming towards this planet, that's in the works, that's been in the plans and stuff by these overlords and things, so we can do that on another show.
And we can touch it tomorrow also with Derek.
There's also the conversation that's happening in our chat about the feminine God and the Jesus, and Phoenix is more of that feminine universe, and we
are too,
resonate with that more so too. But let's not let that divide us,
right?
Because that is something that everyone comes to in some way, shape, or form. They have to get to that place,
exactly.
And not everybody's going to be in the same place. So we respect everyone's journey.
Yes.
If you honor Jesus, then you honor Jesus, and it's wonderful. But it shouldn't be a point of contention or division.
Exactly.
And I know, like, for you, you don't really subscribe to any kind of feminine, masculine principle of a deity, right?
No, I don't. I've always steadfastly refused to use any gender term. I have always said source, and that is it. And that's been decades. My children will tell you I've always called it source, right from, I guess, since I died. Come to think of it, yeah. Because before then, I went to church 3 times a week growing up until we came to Australia. Then it was a couple of times, but my parents just seemed to stop going, so we didn't go. And I left home at 14 anyway. So, but I've always been a good student of divinity during that period, and I've read so many spiritual books and this, that, and the other. I just finished the Kabbalion, and I was listening to it on audio because I'm waiting on my proper glasses coming. And it was like I was listening to something I'd already read. And I actually went and asked my daughter and asked my daughter-in-law and a best friend, did I study this a few years back? Do you remember? And apparently I didn't. But I'm sure somewhere along the time I must have picked up something that's in it along, because I was almost coming out with the next paragraph, in my head. And it was like, wow, I don't remember actually sitting down and reading this, but I know the contents. And from there, I dived over to the Hermetic principles, and yeah.
There's so much to learn. And, when people want to place the creator in a box and give it a gender, it's crazy. The only reason we really, resonate with the female energy of our creator is because everything that is created, a woman is the one that has birth. That nurturing, that creative nature is a feminine nature. And so
the creative aspect is feminine, and the action and doing nature is masculine, but you need both.
Right. But they say that, and we'll have a show on that. Sophia, or how does that guy call her? Sophia was an androgynous, more of she was more female than male. It was like a Xena warrior, or kind of like the guest we had yesterday, which embodied that,
She was great.
Yeah, she was. So it's like, if you would imagine a goddess, you would imagine somebody like Starlight yesterday,
Yeah, but we were also listening to John Lash just this afternoon, and he was talking about, these energies, being what they are, like these streaks of light that just like exist in their state of creative wonder and beauty, you know, and that they are not human. They have no human characteristics. They don't emit love necessarily. It's not about, you know, a feeling. It's not, you know, it's more like, you know, one's a positive energy, one's a negative energy. So hence you have the masculine and the feminine, you know, but, you know, these are just ways of describing polarity, you know? So, yeah, so we have like these distinctions of masculine and feminine, and then we want to categorize it and put like an emotion, a feel, some kind of, you know, human characteristic.
Put a face. People want to put a face on God, and that to me is disrespectful, you know? Your thoughts, Susan?
I don't think it's even possible.
Hmm.
I really don't. He also made dogs. Does he have the face of dogs? He made the trees. Does he have the face of trees? He made cows. Does he have the face of cows? If he created all, he should have all aspects, if you look on it that way.
I just wonder why people want to attach the he instead of, I mean, I feel more comfortable calling her mama, mother, you know, Mother Earth, goddess, because it's like, you know, when you think of father, papa, you think of like a really stern, angry, and that's the God of the Bible, the God of the Bible, you know, little G.
He does a good job at that.
Yeah, he's brainwashed us. So it's like either we need to find a neutral name for source in the universe and not make it so masculine, because I don't know, that masculine deity is kind of scary. And kind
I just, you know, really connected yesterday with what Starla was saying with regards to that feminine aspect of divinity being suppressed and forgotten, and for some way, shape, or reason, it was just buried, you know, and I think that, you know, when we lose connection with that feminine essence of this earth, you know, we like she said, we lose creative, that connection with the creative force of all things, you know. And Emily said that empaths are necessary. We are peacekeepers. We are unconditional love, and we are the ears that hear.
Exactly. Did anybody want to add to that statement that I read about that French guy who thinks that women over 50 are, you know, anybody want to give that man a piece of their mind? Her mind? So I think that is so rude. I mean, I've always, even when I was dating, when I was younger, I always used to like to date older women. I didn't have anything in common with younger women or even women in my age during the time I was dating. I was always, and I guess I was always looking for that mother figure because I didn't have that great relationship with my mom. And my dad was an abusive alcoholic, so I didn't want anything to do with men. But I loved the minds of women. To me, I fall in love with people's minds, not their, you know, their looks. To me, their spirit and their mind is what captivates me. And like I told Gerald Clark the other day, I'm in love with your mind and your soul. I mean, I love intelligent people that have something to offer, you know, that to me, that to me, I could live happily ever after. You know, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for some Barbie, somebody that wants to spend the rest of their day in front of the mirror and, you know, prim and propping themselves. I want the connection. I love the mind. I love the soul, the spirit, right? That's what it's all about, you know? Anybody else said anything?
Leslie said, Lena, if Mark doesn't have time, will you try to answer it later?
Well, I did answer it.
I'm not sure.
Was it about the scary?
I'm not sure. Trying to find it.
I explained. I talked to her about the
about the last rodeo.
The last rodeo.
Maybe she didn't hear it before. We're kind of back
on the backlog on the comments.
So let me see.
We'd like to acknowledge. I know that not every podcast acknowledges the.
We just love the interaction with our group. So Lori says many are saying that this world once done is the last time anyone will live this life on earth. Derek also speaks of this.
Yeah.
And
I said pretty
yeah.
much, you know. So,
and then Phoenix said, Lynn, no, study more, please. I think she reprimanded me on air. She said, no gender,
no
unknowable.
Gender, unknowable.
You know.
And for all we know, God is, that's what father and mother.
Don't.
That's probably the best way. Father, mother.
Father, mother.
So that way we stay out of trouble, because I guess they're both a father and a mother, you know, if you really think about it, right?
Renee says, in my 50s, I'm free. I don't put makeup on, just go to the grocery store.
That's it.
Do it.
That's it. You know, if you have to, God, it's like living with that, you know, and it's like, I don't get it. I really.
Leslie says what she said at home is saying, what Suze is saying is so true.
Yes.
So true.
Very wise woman.
Renee says being happy and smiling at others takes off 10 years.
Of course. I mean, people spend all this time taking on makeup. Do they realize what they're doing to the complexion? I mean.
Well, they'll have the consequences. They must.
Yeah. Yeah. Because all that, it ruins your complexion. It's not something that, you know. So
Lori says exactly, no energy wasted on him. The article, the person. There is so much freedom in our gaining of age. Totally agree with Suze. I, being 58 years of age, embracing myself in great joy.
Awesome. Awesome.
And it's a great place to be, isn't it? Self-acceptance.
It's freedom. It's total freedom. When you have to try to fit in a box or try to please a man or society, or your children. Yeah, you're in prison.
Or your parents.
Yeah, you're in
prison.
You know,
the sad thing is, and True Seeker says it really well, sad that people went from laughing out loud in public to silent now and only LOLing online.
Yeah. And, you know, you go outside and you see people. There's very few happy people in the world. You know, everybody's got some sort of problem that they keep spinning in their heads. And, you know, it's like, is it worth living like that? Is it worth fighting over little things? Is it worth, you know, all this neurotic behavior that we as humans have taken on? It's like, we got to free ourselves.
She said eye contact is fleeting too. Have you noticed that? Even when people do make eye contact with you, their eyes skitter away. You know,
we're terrible, Mark and I, because we're both like, what's the word?
We have astigmatism and lazy eye.
Lazy eye.
So, you know, it's like her left goes, well, mine does, depending on what eye I'm looking at.
My right drifts away.
When I died and I came back, I must have had some neurological impairment. So my eyes didn't, so they had to operate 2 operations on this eye and 1 on this one. And I can't do 3D because I can't make both eyes look at the same time. So if I'm looking with this eye goes this way. If I'm looking with this eyes go that way. So I used to have fear of looking at people's eyes because I didn't want them to see that.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's understandable.
But I
do find with the majority of people, you speak to them and they don't hold your look. And I have to be aware because I tend to look into people's eyes and that can be disconcerting. So I make an effort to pull back on that. I do it unconsciously.
But I love that. I love the icon. I taught myself, even after all the whatever, I taught myself because it's so, you look into somebody's soul when you do that. You're able to communicate. If you're angry at someone, if you get angry and you just like hold them and look them in the eye, it's hard for them to stay angry at you because you're just like going within so deep. And that contact is the most beautiful thing.
Do you think though that, you know, that we are already, by seeing how people react, that we are already being programmed to be artificial intelligence? Because, you know, what I'm noticing is that, you know, when people can't look you in the eye and they can't make that human connection with you, and you can tell when people are plastic, or it's almost like they're on this earth, but they're not really human. I don't know.
Like chatbots.
Yeah. Yeah, like chatbots. Like when I was injured.
Chatbots.
Yeah, when I was injured in the hospital, I was in a state of consciousness that was different from if I was doing well, right? If I wasn't injured. So my senses were heightened. So I noticed that the doctors and the nurses and everybody was just so mechanical. It was like almost like I could see through like their fakeness, you know, and into like that cyborg kind of behavior. It's like, oh, it's almost like we're being conditioned.
It is
to be cyborgs.
It is, and that's why it's hard to fit in to the world, because you try to talk with people, make connection. It's like no one's home. You know, people chit chat about things that make no difference in the world, and when you try to talk deep to them, when you try to talk real, they don't compute.
Yeah, I know that a lot of them are it's like they're in a trance of programmed behavior. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that a lot. I see that a lot.
And it's lonely. It's lonely. I mean,
It must be. It must be.
it's just a very lonely place when you can't share. That's why we love doing what we do, because it's gathering around like-minded people. And although we may not agree if God's a she or a he, and some of us may believe that Jesus is not really Jesus, it's a consciousness that we're all waking up to. We have our little differences, but at least we're here together to learn and grow, and we see what's going on in the world. We know something's definitely wrong. There's people out there that they have no clue. They're going to be in for the biggest rude awakening, because they're like you said, zombies. They're like not here. They're robots. And so at least when you get a group of people that you could connect to, you could talk to. I love that. To me, making connections with humans is the greatest thing ever. I mean, I find that to be better than food, than sex, than anything. It's like it's the most personable, wonderful thing ever.
I think we also have to, as a community, take our own perceptions captive too, because one thing I have found in the spiritual community and the awake community, that a lot of awake people are not awake at all. They are to a level, they peel back one layer of the onion, but there's so many other layers, and yet they feel qualified to be superior about being awake. And this in itself caps their ability to peel more layers off the onion.
Exactly, because they're basing a lot of their stuff on ego still. It's like they go from one belief, now they're militant about another belief. And it's like, you've got to, like, when you're growing and learning and trying to evolve, you got to be like a palm tree. The wind blows this way, right, this way. And that's, you know.
So we're supposed
to take everything captive, take every perception captive. Try and avoid a belief system of any kind, because the belief system itself becomes the box, and it stops information coming into you from without that box. And so therefore you stop learning, you stop evolving, you stop growing. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I'm sorry. I'm just a little distracted by the live chat, because we've had this gentleman asking to interview us and stuff, and then they make comments like this, and I just don't know how to balance if they're a troll or if they're legitimate.
I was expecting a few trolls.
Well, this guy has been reaching out to us all day today.
So pardon me, Michael, if I don't understand, but do you really think that it's appropriate to ask us would you like to be sponsored by Walmart or Trump MBS Society? They would donate a small amount to your channel every month.
It's like, not interested.
I don't really.
Not interested.
I don't know what that has to do with our show right now, and it's an obvious distraction.
Yeah, it's
so you need a sandwich board, obviously.
I don't know. It's just.
I mean, yeah.
We're supposed to talk to you.
I don't know.
So anyway, let's see. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Be in the beat of your heart, of the heart of the all, and you'll find love everywhere speaking to you.
That's right, Lori. That's right.
Keeping things simple is really good advice.
I love that. You know, the happiest that I've ever been is when we went on that journey that we got rid of everything, where we're sleeping in the back of our car, going from national parks, seeing the beauty that this country has to offer, not having any plans. It was just like you wake up in different scenery every day. We have a Prius, so the gas was hardly nothing. It's like we traveled the entire United States for hardly no money. And then we're sleeping. The car is very comfortable. We had an air mattress and it's temperature control. The car, you set it up for temperature and it goes on and off at night, keeping that temperature. So it was the most amazing experience ever. We got to meet people. You get to, I mean, it's like we would like connect with people online and hang out with them and break bread with them and things of that nature. And that's, you know, what we want to do is take the ministry on the road and then really connect with people, because that's what we need. You know, we need to have that human connection. This is great online, but on really being able to hug people and talk to people and help heal each other. We need that. If the planet is going to blow up in 5 years and 10, you know, we need to like really learn who we are and connect with one another.
And Foster says, my daughter who has autism has a hard time making eye contact. And Tracy Evernesi says, Anna, my autistic daughter, doesn't look me in the eye very long either, but it's different. It's because she's highly sensitive to the spirit. It's not because she's not present.
Right.
Yeah, I have experience with that too. And some of the most beautiful people I know have been autistic or on the spectrum between Asperger's and that's a totally different thing than people not connecting with you because they're looking down at their phone or whatever the reason may be. That's a totally different thing and not to be confused at all.
Yeah. Lynn and I both have Asperger, you know, very highly functional, obviously, but that was one of the reasons, besides having cross-eyed, that I would have problems. It was almost like it was painful to look at people in the eye. Yeah. And I taught myself, I'm like, you know what? I need to learn how to pass through this pain and deal with it and learn to make that eye contact, you know, and even if I have to tell people, pardon the eye, you know, so that I break free from that. But I think that people in the autistic spectrum can be taught, because I've worked with a lot of kids in the autism spectrum. It's a modulation problem. You know, it is
uncomfortable for them.
Yeah, and they have a modulation.
It doesn't flow naturally.
Yeah, there's neurological impairment. There's a modulation problem where they see things differently than a person who's not neurologically impaired. But, you know, through certain modalities and certain therapy, eating the right kind of diet, they could learn to have eye contact. They could learn to integrate the environment a little bit better. You know, but they're wonderful. I mean, I used to love to work with my autistic kids. You know, once you gain their trust, because that's another thing. You got to gain their trust. Once you gain their trust,
there is a whole spectrum out there. They differ vastly.
Oh yes,
there's a whole spectrum out there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a girl. Well, I said girl. She's a young woman that's on Facebook. Her name's Tip, and she's great. She does lives. She does little videos, and she's just brilliant, to be honest. There is a whole spectrum there, and each one has a unique talent that can be found.
Yeah. Renee says that vaccines damage the brainstem in children.
Yes, definitely.
So Phoenix said they did it to them because of who they are. You know, it's like.
And John says honesty. Let me see, because he's been saying stuff. And honestly, this journey to truth starts here. Definitely, John.
And Truth Seeker says, yes, better than sex. Sex is fine, but I'm content spooning unless I've been laughing a lot because it increases testosterone. That spooning is difficult.
Yeah, it's like,
oh boy,
the connection, that being able to communicate, that looking in each other's eyes, that being real, that bringing those walls down, that you know that you're making a spiritual connection with the one you love, you know, that, and so many people lack that, you know, and I think that's why it's wonderful when one is with an older individual, because they're no longer worried about impressing you with the looks and that. It's like the walls are down and you're being two real raw spirits. And that to me is like,
yes,
you know,
there's nothing better than genuineness.
Exactly. You know, and it's just a beautiful thing. So
Mark and Lina, I'm going to have to sign off. I hear my mother wants my attention.
one more question and we'll let you go.
Yeah.
This is an important one. Talk to us as a woman who was born a girl and raised as a woman. How does it make you feel to hear a trans woman say they are no different than you?
Just hang on a minute. I will be there in a moment, Mum. I'm just online at the moment.
Oh,
Are you there?
yeah,
Okay,
we're
we got
here.
How does it make me feel? Sorry, I didn't hear that. I had to just answer my mother.
Go ahead, read it.
Oh, just if you could talk to us as a woman who was born a girl and raised a woman, how does it make you feel to hear a trans woman say that they are no different than you?
Well, they are different, but that doesn't make them less. As a soul, they are no different. As a human, they are different. They may embrace femininity. They may embrace the female, but they're still different. But I would honor their request to be called a woman because that's how they perceive them. But that wouldn't necessarily be my perception, and that perception belongs to me.
Exactly.
But I would certainly honor their perception of themselves.
Good answer. Good answer. Good answer. Well, we appreciate your time so much. Thank you for joining us and sharing your journey. I hope that our viewers enjoyed it, and I'm sure they did. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that, you know, have related with your life and find some sort of camaraderie with you. And thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
And we thank you for being a moderator on chat when you are on. And
my pleasure. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Give your love to your mom for us.
Yeah.
I will. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So that was great, guys. Any more questions for us? Let's see, read some of the stuff that we have here. Leslie, no, let me see. I feel like he's a troll. Not that I feel like one. Are you laughing yet? Who's a troll? The guy?
Yeah.
That was like so inappropriate. I mean, he's been bothering us all day, wanting to do some sort of.
And then he has ties to Walmart or something.
I know it's
sponsoring his Skype.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, not good.
About. Rebel Tude joins us.
Yes.
Hi, Rebel Tude. Hi, Mark and Lena. I just came across you guys these last 2 weeks. Just want to say, love you guys. Oh,
thank you. Thank you for
so
joining us,
much.
and we love you too.
Thank you.
And John said, awesome.
And Lori Beth House of God says, I feel only your good vibrations and your lovable, high energy, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, I'm 54 years old. I'm too old to be BSing. And, you know, I guess I kind of feel like Suzan as an older, you know, it's like when you get to a certain age, you know, it's like you get what you see. And, you know, I'm not going to sit there and buy expensive clothes and try to, you know, show people something that I'm not.
But you were never that way.
I've never been that way. Even as when I presented as female, it's never been my thing. Never.
No.
Never, because it's like I've always, I guess, because I died and I've always seen people, you know, and in that empathic nature, you know, I want to be treated the same way, you know, that I treat people. And I want the realness, the heartness. I live for that. I live, you know, it hurts me when I can't get that from individuals. It hurt me when I couldn't get that from my own mother. It was always a facade, you know, and I love her to death, but it was always a disconnect. And I crave that in relationships, you know, I crave that connection, whether it's a friendship, whatever it is, you know, it's like, let's be real, you know, let's put the facade aside. Let's put the anger aside. Let's be real. Let's talk. Let's communicate.
That's why it's called Real Talk.
Real Talk
with the Cummings. You know, That's one thing that I've always wanted is transparency. And I think that's one of the things that really impacted me to the point where I had to do something extreme with my life. And in my case, it was to transition or whatever. But, you know, it was this need to be able to express my humanity and my individuality. And I felt like it was being suppressed by my male like role that I had to play, you know, and there was no freedom there.
Right.
So you just feel like you can't live. You feel like you're in a prison.
Well, that's part of the programming. And that's why when we spoke yesterday, it's like men have gotten a bad rap too. Men have gotten the raw end to the deal, whatever the word is, because they've been told they have to be this way and that way and be the breadwinner. And, you know, you can't cry, you can't feel. And so most men don't feel, especially this day and age when we're living in such a high estrogenic environment that kind of like decreases men's testosterone. So they're more in touch with their estrogen spike, you know, versus their testosterone. And I don't see that as a bad thing, because what is it that's taking place now? Men have to be in touch with their female side. We all have to be in touch with that female side in order for this great awakening and this great thing that's taking place. We've been dominated by Marduk, by the masculine religious deities, by war, you know, by anger, by all these things. The pendulum needs to go the other way. And that's what we're seeing. It's like it'll get worse before it gets better. But that's, you know, that's what's happening.
John Osborne says, bullseye equals on your mark.
Thank you.
Ready, get set. John says, go.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Yeah, Phoenix says, Walmart, the end time store for you check in, never come back. Whereas everyone, people are missing. And it's like Hotel California. You could check in anytime you like.
Female martial law, you can have them.
Tell me about it. But, you know.
Oh, a few more. I am empathic also, says Rebeltude. Sorry, I missed most of the show. I have to go back and listen. I drowned when I was 5 and didn't fully cross over. I agree completely that what you both just said, a lot of people these days.
Yeah. So, yeah, every time somebody crosses over, they come back. It's almost like veils are removed, you know, or the bunch of the onion skins are removed. We have it when we're babies and we're kids till we get to be in the age of school and we start getting indoctrinated, so we forget our divinity and we lose touch with that empathic nature. But when you die, you regain that. It's almost like when you die and you go into that etheric realm, you get cleansed, the veils are removed so that you become empathic again.
Gail Single says, let's feel. Talk is overrated, good, but more transformation comes from feeling and releasing, not living in the feeling. Scream, yell, cry, shake in fear, whatever it takes, just not at people.
Exactly. And then when we had our guests yesterday, we were talking about that is being passionate. And, you know, I say talk because that's how human beings communicate. I mean, when you're with somebody for the longest time, you don't even need to talk. You know, you just kind of feel their essence. You know their mood. You know their changes. You look at them in the eye and you know exactly, oh boy, they're in that mood now. Okay, you know that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know, it's like it's part of like not using words all the time. But it would be kind of a boring show if we didn't talk and just like look and try to give you guys, you know, a little look and try to get you to feel. But I hear you completely. It's the most wonderful thing ever. And is he back?
Yeah, he said, I'm sorry we couldn't talk tonight. I guess we can. It's too late.
Yeah.
You're busy with a great guest. I understand. Loved the talk.
You're very welcome, but we don't want anything to do with.
Really strange.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me see. Seems so artificial. It's refreshing finding genuine souls. Yep, we're real.
Yeah, as real as real can get. And there she is. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. She said.
Thank you, Suz.
And Phoenix says, the light will talk to you and make you think you are talking to gods. That's right. And play with the light in you. It is divination. God doesn't like this. No.
And Lori says, And Lena, your peace within and your voice can calm even the most ravenous beast. A great gift it is. Thank you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
High praises.
Yes.
Can I leave you with this fact? I don't get this.
I don't either. Caffeine from Africa contains a layer of skin that creates gender dysphoria. Would love to discuss that soon.
Okay.
Well, no. Wait. Can I leave you with this fact? Caffeine from Africa contains a layer of skin. Anything's possible, but caffeine does come from different parts of coffee. Stuff comes from different parts of the world.
I get you.
Okay.
I don't get him though.
Yeah.
We'd love to witness a good demolition one night. Haha.
Demolition.
John Osborne, this is such a special place. How many of us are here at this time? Chosen. Sorry, just thinking. Bad habit.
Oh, you could think all you want. You could think out loud. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate all of you. You guys are family to us.
You are.
We really.
John, your family, Phoenix, obviously.
All of you. All of you.
Gail.
Leslie. It's
even Michael, if he wants to.
He's still trying to get Michael.
I'm not quite figuring out.
Yeah, I haven't. But I don't like to throw somebody off of him right away. I want to understand what the whole thing. And
he's just totally throwing me off.
Yeah.
Leslie says, I have some learning disabilities and memory problems. Does the father understand? I'm trying to learn truth and understand too. Also, I naturally love on people and I've always been a misfit.
And you know what? Misfits are wonderful. We're all misfits. And it's a beautiful thing. That's why we gather, and that's why we're together, and we're trying to grow and evolve and learn as spirit beings. And these people that lead a posh life, that have all these cars and they think they're perfect, they're dead. They're totally dead. We are the ones that keep the vibration in this planet. We are the ones that are going to make a difference for tomorrow. We are the ones that are going to change this reality that we're living in to a better reality. So hold your head up high. You're beautiful. You're perfect the way you are.
Lori Beth writes, thank you and oodles of love. She said it. Big hugs. What a wise, loving, and free spirit you are.
I knew you guys would love her, I knew you guys would totally love her because, been connecting for a while, and it's like, share your story. And we welcome all of you to come on the show and share your beautiful story.
Yeah.
It's all about being real. It's all about sharing, because what one person shares could help someone out there. And that's what it's all about, making connection, healing one another. Nothing's better.
So Phoenix says, Leslie, I have 14 learning disabilities and dyslexia. Yes, try to find God. Love God. God loves you. I cannot spell. She writes.
It's okay.
Leslie says, I do feel like here I'm finally with family.
And you are. And we all are connected. And so we gather, every day just about.
Misfit labels. I come from the island
of misfits.
Misfit toys with the mother.
It's a great island to belong to,
Sarah says, hey, Cummings, my online parents. Tell me off, but always care.
We love you.
What's up with Michael? Is he giving you grief? Trolls everywhere. You're awesome.
I'm telling you they are. I don't quite understand Michael. He's been emailing us all day, wanting to talk to us. And it's like, I'm trying to get him to give us a little more detail. And it's like, I feel like we're playing some sort of riddle game. And
so-and-so, Gail sent us a poem.
Oh, okay. So read it.
Blah, 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 blah. Words are blah, 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 blah.
Then it cannot even nearly say all the things happening today, like feeling all the joy and hope and coming home from our elope.
We ran for fear of missing out. Boy, did we not figure out
that love lives here, right now. It was so near.
Our world is precious, this I know, and everyone can do and show appreciation from their core. That and much, 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 much more.
Our words wreak havoc all the while, when really they should make us smile. Never use them needlessly, even when speaking to a tree.
All life can teach us who we are and show each other from afar the joy and peace we do desire. These are the things that lift us higher.
A word of note before I go. I just want you all to know my life is better in many ways by using words to thank and praise.
Awesome.
And so it is.
Beautiful.
So it
I
is.
love that.
Yes.
Hey, Mom and Dad, we need you and your channel. Thank you. Right. Mom and Dad.
Soon we'll be called Grandpa and Grandma.
Yeah.
I'm 54 and you're 48. So we're
I
like,
know.
hey.
My
Years, and
phone-
they go like this, don't they? I mean, the years is like, sheesh. I remember when I was a young woman at 15 and people are probably tuning in. A young woman? What is he talking about?
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, they go fast. The years just fly by.
Michael
That's
is like a
amazing.
bad Batman villain. LOL. Was your guest an eye opener? I missed it.
Yeah, yeah. Very wise woman. Talked about her near-death experience, or experience in general, you know, and we love to interview people and share their story. And, you know, as long as they could help someone. And, you know, yesterday we had an amazing guest that was younger and, you know, full of different things. And today, I mean, the wise crone. Yeah, a wise crone, which is very important. The island of misfits. Know this island, Phoenix, says Lori.
Gail said, beautiful.
And she said, third day of 1 meal a day. Prayer did that for me.
Wow.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
I'm sure you're going to feel so much better. So much better.
Sarah.
The weight's going to fall off. You're going to see, you know, the aging process slow down. You know, it's going to be magnificent for you.
Sarah says, not to be morbid, but how long do you feel you have on our wonderful earth? Time goes fast. Love this channel so much.
I don't think about dying. I'm not afraid of dying. I know that
we're already dying.
Yeah.
How about we get to live?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we get to do.
I died when I was 1 year old and came back. So I figure, hey, somebody wanted me here, else I would have been gone. But I don't ever think of that. You know, it's like, there's no fear. And I guess because I've been on the other side, I know how it feels. So I have zero fear. I have no fear of aging, no fear of, I don't even think about getting sick because I know that my body will do what it needs to do to get better. And it's always been that way.
Well, when you go airborne at like 10:30 at night off of a mountain pass, you flip your car over about 15 times, land down there, and then you're down there for 12 hours and you don't die. I feel invincible, actually. So if I survived it, it's like I'm not fearing any death because, I mean, who survives that? You know, so
you just got to worry about living and think less about dying and get to know thyself. That's the biggest lesson. Get to know thyself. What do you love? What do you feel? Who are you? You know, that's, and not the material you, but the spirit you. Go deep within. Ask yourselves the tough questions. Date yourself. Get to know yourself, really.
Lori says, my son and I have been eating 1 meal a day since 2009.
Doesn't it feel great? Number one, dishes only one time a day. Number two, grocery bill a lot less. Number three, the benefits of your health are threefold. You're giving your body the rest that it needs. You know, you're able to not worry about it. Imagine you're eating 3 times a day. That's 3 digestion processes. Some people eat snacks in between. So your body's constantly digesting. Do you know how hard that is on your system?
People don't know because they are programmed to eat like that. You know, the system tells you, you need to go to the restaurant. You need to go to McDonald's. You need to do this, have the fast food, eat everything, you know? So.
Yeah.
Anne says, wow. Sarah says, that's true, Cummings. We all have a stop clock we cannot see. Feel lucky not to be a school shooting victim or similar, you know?
I know. A lot of that crazy stuff happening. It's just like, you know, this whole matrix it's almost like a virus has been set out and self-destructive type of things are happening. But, you know, I believe that it all will be for the good. We have to look at the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, we have to find out that what goes up must come down. And it's just, the story has to have a happy ending. I want to believe that.
Phoenix, my dear native mom, what did I do to disrespect Your wisdom.
She will not let them take you, but she does not save
What
the
is
church
it?
or men of Mars. Men are like, because you.
What is
we
it
keep
that I
calling
need to-
the Creator goddess and mom, and she just said no. But I thought she believed it that way.
I thought she did too.
I'm
It's like,
confused.
I'm confused.
So mother, father, with the mother emphasis.
I'm just confused. Phoenix, can you help me out?
Lori says, God, yes, it feels great. Sometimes cheat during holidays, have to eat and make the hostess happy. You know,
I was cooking.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Does Alina?
Does Lena cook?
It's Lena.
Yeah.
You know what it is? Because Michael confused
I
and
know.
called her Alina.
It's L-Y-N-N-A. Does Lena cook nice meals, Mark? I'm just assuming she cooks at times. What's her best meal?
Well, we both
What's
cook
her
together.
worst?
We both cook together because it's like a production because it's one meal. So we eat a lot in one sitting.
Yeah.
So we both do different things.
I was cooking
yeah,
all in,
but
all
then
the
we put-
stuff, but then you stopped working.
And
at
then,
Walmart.
yeah, and then gained a lot of weight from it because Puerto Rican cooking is, you know, a lot of salt, a lot of oils. And I was like, this is not healthy. We got to stop this.
I made the food too rich.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't, when I eat, it's not about the flavor. It's about the nourishment. And when you eat plant-based, you cleanse yourself. So I don't like put any salt. I don't like excessively tasting anything. My food is for my nourishment, you know, and to get me from one day to the next, you know, make me healthy and happy in the brain and all that good stuff. Oh God, I'm as bad as Mike. Apologize, guys.
EK.
Hey, EK, how you
I wonder if
doing?
she's
I think she was
done with her journey.
I think so. I think she's already was she going to New Mexico, right?
Arizona?
Arizona. I'm sorry, Arizona. That's right. New Mexico, Arizona, kind of neighbors, you know.
I spent my life, Gail Single says, demanding my kids eat as programmed. Oops, they had it right all along, which is odd that I got programmed that way because my father always preaches one meal a day.
Yeah, and that's the way, you know, ages ago. I mean, people didn't have the resources to sit there and have a refrigerator full of food or the time. You know, they were working on the farm. You know, this 3 meal a day was created around the work schedule. Get up and have breakfast, and then, you know, you have your lunch at work, and then you get home and you have dinner, and then you have snacks. I mean, eat. I mean, that's horrible, you know, but it's the programming. You know, you feel like you're missing something if you don't get to, you know, or you get to like quench that hunger when the stomach is empty. And it's like, that's not true hunger. That's just that your stomach is empty, and you should let it be empty so that everything else could start cleaning itself out.
Phoenix says, never make your kids do or eat by force. This is trauma.
Yes, and a lot of parents do. I know my parents forced me to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never had that.
you like to eat.
I'm not going to say I had a
This one
problem
loves
with
food.
that. John Osborne said, I nice. I nice.
I nice. Yes, you're very nice, John.
Nice. What meal?
We love you, John.
What meal, Sarah B says, is filling but nutritious as a one per day meal?
Well, we have a big bowl of all sorts of greens and vegetables. Then sometimes we'll make brown rice with beans, and we'll add some like mock soy type of chorizo, which is made out of plant-based, and we'll put it all in. And then we have
I make a good mean what is a bowl of oatmeal.
Mm-hmm.
That just really coats the lining of the stomach, and it really just keeps you satiated throughout the day.
That's like our dessert.
Yeah.
We have the salad with, you know, we have grain bread, and we make our own chips in the air fryer. And then we have the big bowl of oatmeal with berries and nuts and seeds and
it's not just
coconut.
oatmeal, it's all kinds of grains in there.
Yeah. So it takes us a good hour to eat it, and it takes us around an hour to make it. And but it's filling, and you're not hungry till the next day.
We're not hungry right now at all.
I know. Usually we don't eat till 1:30, you know, and that's, you know, that's it.
EK says, I'm in Tucson.
Oh, wow.
Got left in a hotel, LOL.
You got left in a hotel?
That sounds not good. got left in a hotel?
Email me or how do you call it? Private message me. Well, I'll private message you and get the scoop.
I had bean soup recently, paying the price.
You know, we have beans every day, so I think our body's just used to it. We don't really, you know, you develop. The key is also to develop the gut bacteria that's going to allow your body to digest it. Mm-hmm. And we always do. We start off before we eat apple cider vinegar, and that kind of coats your stomach and gives you. It allows a proper balance of your gut bacteria because we eat beans and it's not like
no big deal. Gail Single says you feel like you're not being a good parent when you don't have food for them.
But then, see, that was my grandmother's thing, you know. Come. And it's like I started off being a very skinny person, and then my grandma got so concerned they started injecting me with B12 and force feeding me. And you see the pictures in school. I was really skinny, long hair, and then all of a sudden, as the years went by, it's from all the force feeding. Not good.
Sarah Bees asks, can I talk to you on Facebook sometimes, guys? I'd like to talk to you and know who I am by pics and posts. What's your name on Facebook?
Send us an email to transitionradioshow@gmail.com with your Facebook handle.
Or you can just look us up.
Or we have in the on the About page, there's both Lena and my Facebook page there. You could click and request us as friends. Make it easier.
And let me see. My son, says Lori, my son and I started eating little because we ended up homeless for a little while. The rainbow always comes after the adversity trial. Tough times, look for it. Oh yeah, ACV.
Yeah, apple cider vinegar. Yeah, life sometimes gets, you know, but it all makes us stronger. You know, it all gives us, gosh, I mean, I think every bad road that we walk on, you know, teaches us something. And aren't we here for experiences? Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what helps our spirit grow. You can't take the material thing, but you will take your experience. You're collecting all the stuff that happens to you in life to that wonderful library. What is that called? The etheric library or something.
The Akashic record.
Yeah. And that's what we do. I love her. Whenever I don't know a word, I just kind of look at her and ask her, what was that word?
It's like,
because language to me is a burden. I mean, I'm like an ET. I like to transmit what I think, you know, without words. But I know that would make a very boring show if I would just sit there, smile, and kind of try to.
Well, for those ETs that are listening,
yeah, they might understand me, but I think people would kind of get bored if I did that. But I hate words. I really unless I'm writing a song or poetry, but to communicate, it's almost like I just want to have you feel what I'm trying to say. You know, that's my.
Sarah says, "Oh no,
EK, oh my gosh,
left you behind,"
and you just oh my god,
oh my goodness.
Wow. You know, that's what's so scary. I mean, do you mind if we talk about it on here? If you do, just say no, and we won't. So let's see what Sarah Benz. Oh my God, I was on YouTube today, and a fake spiritualist was charging people $45 for a reading, telling people meditation does not work in free training. There's a lot of really fake healers out there. A lot of people that, let me see, she said something. Go up, go down. Keep going. Keep going. I want to see what EK says. No, I don't mind. Okay. Yeah, EK pretty much left everything behind.
Yeah.
You know, she was living in Jersey or New York, I think it was, and her house was full of mold and was making her very sick. So somebody contacted her and offered her a place, you know, a gentleman, and I guess they connected, and she figured, hey, what do I have to lose? You know, I'm sick. She was really, really getting really sick.
Yeah.
And it turns out the ass just dumped her and left her behind. I mean, see, why do people do stuff like that? That infuriates me. That just totally, and I'm sure he was looking for something right away. And, you know, it's like men think that women are going to put it out, you know, right away. And that's what they want. It's like, you know, get to know a person, be real. Don't make somebody, I mean, how can you do that to somebody?
So rude. I mean, seriously. I mean, I came down to see you and you didn't have a car and you came to the hospital to see me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we met.
And I took you in.
And you took me in.
Yeah.
Like a stray dog.
Yeah. And I took care of you. And I didn't have to. I could have said, oh, goodbye. I'm not getting involved. I said, do you want me to stay? And when you said yes, I knew that I had to be your caregiver. She had a spinal cord injury, couldn't move her arms, couldn't do anything for herself, fractured C1, C3, C4, T7. And luckily I'm an occupational therapist and I was able to, rehab her. But somebody else, it was a dude, they wouldn't have even gone seen her. It's like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Like, that sucks.
Sorry for you.
It's like my old boyfriend. He's like, what? You hurt your back? Oh, so I guess you know what it feels like now. Quick. It's like, he was injured and, I ended the relationship because he was like really turning into somebody else or something.
Yeah, because nobody wants to take care of somebody. But, I took it on and here we are 4 years later. Soulmates, you speak as one, finish each other's sandwiches. Yeah.
Sandwiches.
Same thing as
sandwiches.
sentences.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Don't drink ACV straight. I burned my esophagus.
Oh, yeah. You got to put water.
I was having a heart attack.
Yeah, water. You got to water it down.
I can drink it straight.
But it's not good for you because
it's yummy.
But it's not good for you. It's an acid. It will erode.
Well, I don't because you put water in it.
Yeah, because you'll erode your esophagus and your stomach. It could actually burn a hole in your stomach.
That's not good.
No. Let's see what else. Blue. What was
Mark,
blue?
I'd like to do that too. I'm not good with words either.
Yeah, it's like a word sometimes is a burden. It's like, I got to say this whole sentence to try to communicate. And I guess back in my alien time, we were just like, people got it.
Okay. Religion and fear, Phoenix says, let you all empty.
Yep.
Soon it's over. I promise.
Just be good. Just be good. I promise to be good. I'm always good. Even when I'm bad, I'm good.
John Osborne.
About face, haha, dive, dive, dive. This gets deep. I like it. No words, but I do have some songs in her rested. Yes. Music, I love music. As you can see at the end of every show, I give you guys an original because I love, that's the only time I like to use words is when I write music.
EK, I trusted the man.
That really, it's like, that's why, I was.
You had a Rife machine?
Oh yeah, that's it's a machine that helps because of all the mold problems that she has faced. So it's almost like it cleanses you. It's almost with electricity using the cleansing, and I tell you, people are just they're just mean.
So Phoenix said, we were all called man until men's control of women because woman stops this mess of men, not humans.
So as a spiritual person, I believe a soul can be destroyed a little by little. What do you feel about the porn industry where beautiful girls sell themselves for cash? It makes me cry. God, I love this show. She says, the porn industry, it's horrible. It's like people are selling their bodies for money. They're selling their soul and they're not even realizing it. Majority of people that end up in the porn industry after X amount of years in it, they a lot of them have very little self-esteem. They get into drugs. They stop feeling because you're just giving yourself to anybody.
Well, Derek talks about that energy, the sexual energy. You just can't give that away to everybody you meet. It sucks you dry. Yeah. Spiritually.
It does. And our guest yesterday talked about something very interesting that, when a woman uses her sexual energy to try to heal a man, there's like an exchange. There's some sort of connection. But in the porn industries, it's like you're sitting there doing it with anybody and then getting filmed. And I don't know. I mean, I don't want to judge anybody because everybody does what they need to do to make a living, you know, but it's not something I would do, you know, it's not something that I would engage in. And
so EK says he was controlling.
Oh, wow.
And I started exercising my desire as far as what I did not feel comfortable about.
Wow. Yeah, I'm lost for words because that worried me when you said, and I was like, oh no, let's send good energy and hopefully everything will be okay. I want to believe that there are good people in the world still, but you know, stuff like this kind of.
The man was 71, not a romantic endeavor on my part.
No, and that's probably what happened, that he wanted a romantic endeavor with you. And so, you know, I could totally relate. When I was 24, I married an Englishman. And I had been with women all my life, but I figured, let me try to change. Maybe I could, you know, I was 24. I figured I'm not getting any younger. Maybe I could get married, have kids, change, you know, lead a normal life. And I married the guy, went all the way to England. And because I would not go to bed with him, and I kept telling him, look, you have to have patience with me. I've never been with a guy, you know, it was just like, it was awkward, you know. And he, of course, didn't have patience. He wouldn't feed me because he would eat. He was a bus driver. He would eat at work. He wouldn't buy food for home. So I was like, either I get out and find a job or do something. I'm going to starve. So I had to make my way on my own. I lived in England for 2 years and I managed, but he pretty much kicked me out and had an annulment in our marriage. So I know how you feel. I mean, men can be, and not to say that all men are, I don't like to pigeonhole and absolute with everyone, but I haven't had the greatest experiences with men.
So Lori says, Phoenix, finger, be good.
Be good.
Reminds me of what E.T. said in the movie to the little girl upon E.T.'s departure.
Yes.
So, and Phoenix says, love E.T. Who's Martin? Hi.
Sorry I'm late. I know you like music and genuinely believe I found the best voice. She's called LP and you should check out Lost on You and the Power. Lost and You Live It. Just stunning.
Nice.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. He can say he was annoyed. I didn't trust him enough. So he told me to do what I wanted and could drive myself home. You're probably better off leaving now than God knows what, you know, could have transpired down the road. I'm just glad you're safe because, you know, there's a lot of scary people. A lot of scary people out there. A lot of scary people. Oh boy. Okay. We're going to call it an evening.
Sending you healing energy with much love.
Yes. Okay.
And a huge hug, EK. Receive and believe.
Yes. And I'll chat you up on Facebook and get some more scoops. So maybe even cover Lost on You, Mark. I think your voice has a place. Thank you, Martin. I totally don't really love doing covers. And if I do, I'm going to do it my way because I like, it's just like a, I don't know. It's, I can't explain it, but
you just don't like copying.
Yeah, I don't like copying
like
originals, but I have a few covers that I've done here and there, you know, but thank you so much for, you know, the compliment.
EK says, some kind woman has me staying in her house.
That's awesome. At least, you know, I just, you know, I hope that, you know, because I know you left everything behind to follow this, but, you know, let's all think good thoughts for EK, and the doors are going to open for her. That things always happen for a reason. So one door closes, another one's definitely going to open. And we're sending you positive vibes, positive thoughts. We're manifesting a beautiful world for you. And a beautiful change. At least you're away from that toxic environment that was making you sick. I hope that leaving that home makes you feeling better. because God knows you weren't feeling great.
She said she has frontal lobe brain damage from the mold.
Yeah, so you had to get out of there. You definitely had to get out of there.
Damien says, much love, EK. And Damien, let's do a special big hug for EK.
Yes, special big hug for EK. Yes.
Big hug.
Big
EK.
hug. And bottle, was it? Blue Bottle. I don't do covers either. I won't only play original songs. Yeah, it's like this connection. I always feel like when you have to memorize somebody's songs, I have a hard time memorizing my own, never mind somebody else's. And then it's just, it's just so hard.
She said, I felt abandoned. I'm
so sorry, guys.
Sorry. Wow.
It's no fun when you put your trust in somebody like that and then they let you down. And so selfish, it's like, I don't compute. To me, doing that to somebody, I don't compute.
That shouldn't happen. People, I'm just grateful for that woman that has opened her heart to you.
I know. So you got to be ever so careful, folks. It's a dangerous world out there.
Renee says people are just losing their
humanity.
Humanity.
Yeah, totally. And
he said I was poison.
Oh my
God. You can cancel that back and send it to him because that's not true.
Because he wanted something from you. I mean, he offered something, and he wanted, something in return. That's what happens when you eat so much, is everything keeps wanting to come up because you stuff yourself. It's, people don't know how to give unconditional love. You give without accepting or expecting anything in return. It's.
Who's, EK, come home with us, Phoenix says. As a trainee airline pilot, who's Martin, says, I was once homeless and never expected to be where I am now. Also traveling America in May.
Traveling is awesome. We're looking forward to getting a little traveling van in a few years and just, hitting the road and making real connections with real people, like-minded people.
Yeah. Gail says, EK, feel it and release it.
Yes.
Don't live in it. It'll relate to feelings from your old childhood.
Yes. My famous saying is own it, feel it, then let it go. That's because when you hold on to something, you continue to create more of the same.
Did it change in the Mandela effect?
Why did I used to say something different?
Feel it, own it, and then let it go.
Oh, okay. So
that's what did it.
I don't know because
Is the Mandela effect?
Maybe it's the Mandela effect. Own it, feel it, let it go.
She said, I fell into tremendous fear.
I can imagine.
Well, EK, if you want to call us after the show, you can. We'd love to talk to you about it. Who's Martin? I feel lucky in so many ways. And Blue Bottle has a song called Dangerous World, appropriately.
Appropriately? Dangerous World. Totally.
Thank you, Phoenix. CK says, I did not know anyone out here. I know what that feels like. And it's no fun.
No.
It's no fun.
Well, it's so sorry.
Oh, Phoenix says, do not own it. Release it, or it will make you sick.
That's true.
See, more wise words from a sage, our
own
own personal shaman on the Real Talk with the Cummings show. It's crazy. It's awesome. I am so glad you're here, Phoenix.
Yes, totally.
Thank you all for being so kind, EK says. God, I got that, Phoenix. ET, go home. You're not alone.
Yeah. Wow, Who's Smart is watching all the way from Wales, the UK.
Wow.
You reach far with your videos. So thank you.
I've been to Cardiff.
I lived in, when I was married to the Englishman, I was there from 1988 to 1991. And I originally went to Kent, and I moved to London since I needed to find a job because my husband wouldn't feed me and the marriage got annulled. And I went to Tootenbeck. I lived in Tootenbeck. I was working for Workbook Stock Exchange as a security guard at the moment. My life is a massive book.
I was at a castle in Wales. I forget. It's like an old historical castle. It was so cool. It reminded me of those times, you know, that you read about in the history books and stuff, in medieval times.
It's beautiful. I mean, I enjoyed it, especially London, but it's just so cold and rainy. But it was like really cool. New Year's Eve was great. Piccadilly Square, Circus. And yeah, I was 24 many moons ago. I'm 54 now, so I was like 30 years ago. Dear God, time flies.
Are you sure it was you?
It was me. Well, it was me in my other life because, you know, for those who's Martin don't know, we're a trans couple. You know, I was born female.
I was born male.
And we did the swap thing.
We
and
do the switcheroo.
Yeah, but back then.
Well, we really don't, but we pretend like we do.
Exactly. But yeah, I learned a lot in those 2 years. I was 24 years old, very young. Learned the hard way.
Yeah.
You know, because I didn't have anybody. If I didn't find a job or a way, I wouldn't have been eaten. It was like, it was school of hard knocks, put it that way.
London is a cool place.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Lots of history.
Lots of it.
You know.
Great transportation, you know.
It's not foggy.
The only good thing about having been married to the bus driver is that I had a pass that I could go on all buses and underground for free.
You mean the double stack?
Yeah, whichever one. I could ride the underground, everything for free for the whole 2 years that I was there.
Look at how many lifetimes we've all lived in one body.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It is. It is.
I know you're trans. I watch because I listen.
Okay.
I'm a reader of Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro. I like to hear opinions and support free speech.
Awesome. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, he was all ego, a false healer.
Wow.
Dang. You know, there's a greater lesson to be learned here. You're not in Tucson for no reason.
Yeah.
You know. It's Friday.
It's Friday. Yeah.
Maybe we can visit.
No. We're gonna call it.
Maybe we could visit, but no, we have a show tomorrow.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and end the show. We're tired. It's been it's 5:30. We've been on. It's like talk. I probably don't know anybody that talks as much as the Cummings do.
I don't know. I think Jeffrey Doherty beats us, or Rex Bear.
Some of them have 2 or 3 shows a day. At least you have a marathon one time only. They couldn't do it twice a day. It'd be too much. But thank you guys so very much for your input, for watching. We'll be here again tomorrow at 5:30 with Derek Bros. I'm going to put some really interesting questions together tonight. Really try to break down a lot of different things, you know, try to like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm sorry, I was reading EK. It says, someone invited me to a healing place in Colorado, but I'm kind of afraid not to trust them.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
What do eyes do, John Osborne?
They see, supposedly. If you know how to use them wisely.
Wow. When this is all over, we are all 23. Numbers 7 around 1, 12 around 1. Now, what does this mean? Good night, all. I can talk all night. Love Rex puts it there today.
Yeah, he's cool. Oh, cool.
The eyes.
Derek is interviewing David Icke soon. That's awesome.
Wow.
That's
really?
Awesome. Interesting.
I heard something.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
I know Jeffrey's been trying.
Yes.
He's been trying. Right.
That's a major get.
Major get. Yeah. I've been listening to Derek Icke for the longest time in my awakening back in 2008. It's got a lot of great information. All right, guys. We love you. but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night, and I got a song together here.
Oh, it's charging.
It's charging. All right, I'll have to do it.
Want me to get it?
It's okay.
Doesn't sound good if you don't.
Okay, go ahead, get it. She's gonna go get the Bluetooth so that the song sounds a little bit better. So yeah. Phoenix says, say the interview, do not trust men of letters and their boys. That's right. And trust. Trust is something that is earned, and not everybody is trustworthy. All right, guys. Let me see here how I do this. I do this way. I wrote this song on request for somebody that asked me to write a song for a young gay boy that was coming out, and how hard their life was coming out, telling their parents they were gay.
Young and restless, you think you are on top. Till the morning, life became just trot. Felt so different from all your friends and foes. Who do you talk to relieve all your woes? Your mother wants her grandkids, your dad sees you enroll. A big football hero, for him to call his own. Your Tommy just sees himself in love with Joe. Does anybody out there know this song? This world he lives in, I feel so all alone. Could he tell this to anyone he knows? They accept him, but throw him onto the curb. How scared can he be? Oh, he feels he'll beat his own. Your mother wants her grandkids, your dad thinks you enroll. A big football hero, friend to call his own. Your Tommy just sees himself in love with Joe. Does anybody out there know this song? Does anybody out there know this song? He's only 14 and has no one to turn to. No, can you believe this? Sean, our very own. Yet we wonder why so many died. 'Cause our hating and our selfish pride. Your mother wants her grandkids, your dad sees you enroll. A big football hero, playing to call his own. Tommy just sees himself in love with Joe. Does Anybody out there know this song? We learn to wish them, leave them alone. Can we learn to wish them well and leave them alone? Oh, 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 no. Your mother just wants your grandkids. Your daddy wants you to grow. A big football hero and to call his own. Your Tommy sees himself in love with Joe. Can we learn to wish them well, leave them alone?